These are creepy TikToks that will make you rethink your whole reality.
At work, she fell in love with a murderer and inmate named Casey White. One day, she helped Casey escape. They used a police car to get away, resulting in a massive police chase. Eventually, they crashed their car.
The biggest artist in the world was behind the demise of this other man.
Drake killed XXX.
These are videos humans were never meant to see. Okay, so we all remember this viral video of a girl on a plane completely freaking out saying she wants to get off because the person she just saw wasn't human. But what if I told you some guy just did the same exact thing a couple days ago? Just watch this video and let's talk about it.
I'm back, it's your boy FITTI to the E, and today we're looking at this compilation together, so grab your water, your popcorn, whatever you want. Just remember that these chains are free for limited time only, so if you want to get you some chains, check the link down below.
Blowing from a gun is a form of execution characterized by tying the victim to the mouth of a cannon, which is then discharged, causing the person's gruesome death. This method has been documented as early as the 16th century and was employed as a means of execution until the 20th century. Portuguese colonialists utilized this method during the 16th and 17th centuries across their empire. The Mughal Empire also employed blowing from a gun as a form of execution throughout the 17th and into the 18th century, particularly targeting rebels. In the Indian subcontinent, the destruction of the body and scattering of the remains over a wide area served a religious purpose, as it prevented Hindus and Muslims from performing the necessary funeral rites. This extended the punishment beyond death for believers, as it denied them the proper rituals associated with their faith.
Bro, I could not imagine getting killed from the end of a cannon. Hell no.
These are videos you need to see before you die. Okay, so did you know when a whale dies, it sometimes falls to the bottom of the ocean floor called a whale fall, and their corpse creates a complex ecosystem for countless deep-sea organisms.
Damn.
Well, the video I'm about to show you is exactly that, which a research submarine discovered, and it shows many organisms enjoying this whale's homemade ecosystem. Here's the video, and it's crazy.
Whale fall. Oh, here we go, baby. Okay,
It's phenomenal. Yeah, dinner is served.
Oh,
that's not bacterial, man.
No, they are worms. Look at the blubber on the right side.
Yeah. It's not even digested all the way. This is so
Definitely, where food is so limited, I would imagine scavenging is a great strategy. Your food doesn't run away.
So yeah, isn't that video so fascinating?
That should be scary. Like, imagine just dying and then just having people eat you after. I mean, it's not really people. I know with humans, we decompose, so like, technically bacteria is also eating at us. I mean, I guess it's just the life cycle.
Oh, fuck! Oh, fucking shit!
In the very last cell, a dark figure can be seen inside. This menacing shadow figure stared back at Josh, sending him running in fear. But the question remains, is this penitentiary haunted, or was this all just a hoax? When living in a secluded house in the middle of the woods, it's very likely to see wildlife from time to time. Well, one man on TikTok saw something on his property that he can't explain. He began documenting his encounters with this strange creature on TikTok. But lately, this creature has gotten too close for comfort.
Get the other side. Oh, damn. Holy shit. All right. Son of a bitch just went on the other side of the house.
After hearing a noise on his roof, he discovered the creature was now on top of his house. This eerie, glowing-eyed being stared down at him before quickly ducking out of view. This bizarre creature doesn't appear to be an animal.
I was definitely not an animal. Saw the eye, you could literally see the eye reflection.
New horror movies that are actually good. Part 64. Malum. This film is extremely demonic, creepy, and very confusing. If you get anxiety from these types of films, then do not watch it.
members and taking his own life. Yukio was only 17 years old, knowing completely well that he'd be going to his death the next day. The smiling man in this photo is Nazi Joseph Goebbels, who is in a 1933 League of Nations meeting, and in the next photo, his expression completely changes. His expression changes from cheerful to hatred because someone told him that the photographer was of Jewish descent. This seemingly normal photo shows 3 men in judo attire. The man on the right, however, is Osama bin Laden, the terrorist responsible for the 9/11 attacks on New York City. The girl wearing the veil is Elizabeth Smart, who was kidnapped for 9 months by the man on the far right. This photo was taken at a party the kidnapper crashed with Elizabeth, and she was forced to wear this veil at all times to keep her from being recognized in public.
I'm trying to figure out is how the hell did Osama bin Laden go from black belt in judo to terrorist?
The term 4 horses, or disruption, involves using 4 horses to pull a person's arms and legs in opposite directions, resulting in their limbs being torn off. During the Renaissance and early modern period, regicide, the killing of a monarch, was considered one of the most heinous crimes. The 4 horses was reserved for this crime. Francois Ravaillac saw himself as a divine instrument and believed that by killing King Henry IV, he was fulfilling a divine mission to save France from heresy. However, his act of regicide was widely condemned, and he was subjected to a gruesome execution. Before being drawn and quartered, he was scalded with burning sulfur, molten lead and boiling oil and resin, and his flesh was torn by pincers. Finally, he was tied to horses and dismembered. Similarly, Mikhail Piekarski's attempt to assassinate King Sigismund III of Poland was motivated by religious and political reasons. His failed attempt to kill the king resulted in his conviction for attempted regicide, and he was sentenced to a brutal execution. His body was slowly torn apart with heated ply.
Hello. I ordered a can of Sprite for Pop.
What I'm trying to figure out is why are you ordering Sprite off the dark web, bro? You can literally run down to your grocery store that's less than 2 miles away just to go get you some Sprite. Bro ordered it from the worst place to order anything edible. But hey, couldn't be me.
This is how a 48-year-old murder mystery was finally solved. Nearly 50 years ago, remains of an unknown woman were found in an Ontario river. In 1975, the woman was simply known as Nation River Lady. Not only was her true identity finally revealed, but the man who we believe is responsible has been arrested. Jewel Langford was 48 years old when she passed away. A DNA profile of her was eventually used to try and find family matches. Luckily, scientists were able to find 2 DNA matches. Now, this is believed to be the first case in Canada where forensic genealogy has been used to identify human remains. In April 1975, Jewel was reported missing by her family when she failed to return home. Tragically, she was found floating in the river and had been strangled by a television cable. 81-year-old Rodney Nichols from Florida has been arrested.
Good job to those forensic genealogists in Canada. It's actually really cool how far technology came. Now we could just identify people based off of their remains like that. That's pretty cool.
This is straight out of a horror movie. These are the final messages between the Titan sub and the ship on top. So they started the descent around 7:58, and things started going wrong around 9:30. Before that, everything was chill. We're noting an alarm from the RTM. Reducing velocity descent depth, 3433. Understood. Do you need to ascend? No change with thrust. The rate of descent is increasing at 35. Going to release the ballast now. Yes, agree. Release the ballast. No improvement. Preparing to jettison the frame. Affirmative. Update when able. RTM indicator status? Frame jettison, multiple attempts needed, but starting the ascent now. Multiple attempts? What is your status? RTM indicators? Depth? 1 minute later. Update please when able. Crackling sound at AFT. Can you identify the source? RTM indicator status? Negative. RTM status? Trying to run diagnostics. Ascending now, but very slow. Sounds have subsided. Global RTM alert active, all red. Understood. Any codes? Depth? Ascent rate? Update when able, please. Slow ascent in progress. Quarter predicted. Unclear why rate is so small. No indicator. At 3476. We are talking it over with the engineer. Stand by. Depth and status, please. What's the wattage on upwards thrust? Reading red on the A power bus. I switch to B. At 3457 meters, more sounds AFT. Okay, now here's where they lose signal. Understood. Continue ascent. Talking to Carlos about power situation right now. Activating recovery procedures. Carlos is requesting wattage output from bus B. Status update, please. Velocity of ascent. We're not receiving you. Update, please. Status and depth report. We need you to respond with the status and depth. Carlos is requesting wattage update on thrusters. We are unable to read you. We are moving to recovery coordinates. Report if you read. Please respond if you're able. Literally terrifying. I can't imagine. Like, that's so scary.
That's scary. Like, you're just talking to them 1 second. It's like, yo, you guys are good. Just come back up. You know, something might just go wrong. We can fix it. Then the next second, nothing. Like, yo, you good? So can you give us a report on B? Hello? Whole time they're just gone. It's crazy.
I gave AIDS and hepatitis B to all my patients because I did not clean my equipment. I'm Scott Harrington, an experienced and renowned dentist. Throughout my career, I've treated thousands of patients and gained expertise in the field of dentistry. However, in 2013, my professional life took a devastating turn. Health authorities inspected my dental practice after a patient was diagnosed with hepatitis C. Shockingly, their investigation revealed multiple violations of hygiene and infection control standards within my office. I was accused of endangering the health of my patients by using unsterilized instruments, performing unsafe procedures, and employing staff who lacked proper training in hygiene practices. Consequently, thousands of patients were urged to undergo screenings for hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV. This scandal led to the temporary suspension of my dental license and a lawsuit for medical negligence. I was profoundly disturbed and taken aback by these allegations, as I never intended to cause harm to my patients. After a lengthy legal battle, I eventually managed to regain my dental license and reopen my practice. If you're in need of dental care, don't hesitate to visit me. I'm here to help with all your oral health needs.
Bro has a whole 1-star. I'm not visiting you, bro. Hell no. No time soon, no time ever. Like, how do you mess up that bad? Pretty simple. Clean your products. It's almost like washing your hands before you go to eat. Like, if you're a trained professional, you should notice. Like, that's actually a little bit crazy.
One of you guys sent me a very scary Ouija board story, and I am so excited to share it. So the story comes from a follower by the name of Taylor, and it occurred when they were 12 to 13 years old. So when Taylor was around 12 to 13, they and their mom moved into their grandparents' house when their parents split. Pretty soon after they moved in, some weird things started happening in the house. Weird things such as hearing movement in the kitchen, walking by and no one being in there but all of the cabinets being open. Taylor eventually went to their grandma and was like, stuff is happening in your house. Are you experiencing this too? Taylor's grandma then explained that long ago someone in their family had played a Ouija board and did not properly say goodbye, or say goodbye at all. And ever since then, that house has been extremely haunted because they didn't close that portal. 5 months go by and things are getting increasingly worse for Taylor. They were having nightmares so dark that when they shared it with their mom, the mom considered taking them to the hospital. They would see shadow figures running around from room to room that would look like people, would look like dogs, would look like birds. They considered moving at one point because things just got so bad. But here's when things got the worst. So Taylor was sitting in bed with the lights off and looks in the corner and notices a shadowy figure standing there staring. Taylor described the feeling that she got from this thing as anything but human. Taylor started to pray and hope that it would go away, but instead it charged and then quickly disappeared mid-charge. The next morning, Taylor would find 3 scratches down her arm that were not there before. After that, they decided to have a medium come and look at the house, bless it, and just try to help things out. The medium informed them that there were portals opened by the Ouija board that would never ever close completely. The medium was also able to tell Taylor the exact experience that they had had in their bedroom where the shadow was staring at them without being told at all. The medium said that it was an attachment to Taylor and helped get rid of it. The hauntings are still going on. They have the house cleansed and blessed, but it always comes back. And that was the end of the story. That is terrifying.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a big Ouija board fan, but I will say, like, I've seen some people do it. I've never really done it myself. I would not be surprised if it really opens some sort of portal. What do you think? Put it down in the comments. Mom checks her son's cell phone and finds this. Like, I don't know what that guy's intention was, but I would not trust him with my kids.
These are videos humans were never meant to see. Okay, so we all remember this viral video of a girl on a plane, completely freaking out saying she wants to get off because the person she just saw wasn't human. But what if I told you some guy just did the same exact thing a couple days ago? Just watch this video and let's talk about it. So yeah, that guy claims that he saw a shapeshifter on the plane, and he instantly got up freaking out and tried to open the plane door while they're in the air. This video is absolutely insane, and what's going on recently with all these videos of people on planes seeing shapeshifters?
Man, I'm starting to believe it now too. 2 people just did that. I mean, bro, that's scary. Like, imagine you're just up in the middle of the air, 30,000+ feet in the air, and then there's some guy freaking out talking about there's an alien in the back of the plane and he needs to get the hell out of there. That should be scary.
All of the main traps in Saw 5 are possible to survive. Let's go through it. We have the necktie trap at the beginning of the movie. Each of the 5 participants are wearing these collars around their necks that are pulling them to the wall, and if they get pulled all the way to the wall, their heads are going to get decapitated. All they need to do is go across the room, break these boxes, get their keys, and unlock their collars. If they all worked together, the keys would have fit for every single person's collar, so they could have just passed one key around. Then the second room, we have the nail booms and then these sewer tunnels. There's 4 of them left at this point and only 3 tunnels. They don't realize that more than one person could just fit in the tunnel to save themselves from the inevitable explosion. So they end up losing another person in this room as well. Then we get to the electrical bathtub circuit, where in order to get out of the room before a boom goes off, they have to pass the circuit from one side of the room to another through this bathtub. They end up unaliving one of the girls, throwing her in the bathtub, and crossing the circuit over her body. But if all 5 of them had been alive, allegedly they could have all just suffered a small shock and survived. That's definitely debatable, but whatever.
What I'm trying to figure out is, how does she know that one key would work for all of those though? Because I'm thinking about it like, he might have put different keys for different locks. I don't think Jigsaw is that slow.
The mancuerda involved tightly winding a cord around the arms of the victim. The executioner would then apply pressure either by throwing his entire weight backward or by utilizing a lever, thereby exacerbating the agony inflicted. The tightly wound cord, aided by the force exerted, would cut through the victim's skin and muscles, causing deep lacerations that reached the bone. The excruciating pain was further intensified due to the stretching of the victim's body, reminiscent of a rack, and the use of a belt or girdle attached to their waist. According to historical accounts, there is a story that suggests Giovanni II Bentivoglio, the tyrant of Bologna, resorted to the mancuerda torture method to punish the astrologer Luca Gorico. It is important to note that this account is based on historical claims and may not be entirely verifiable. However, the story goes that Bentivoglio was dissatisfied with a prediction made by Gorico, leading him to subject the astrologer to this brutal form of torture.
Man, that's messed up. Imagine you come to me asking me about something that I'll tell you, in my opinion, bro, I think it's like this. They're like, oh, I don't like that, so I'm gonna kill you. Actually, he didn't even kill him. He tortured him and then killed him. That's messed up.
These are the most disturbing torture devices I saw at the Torture Museum in Amsterdam. This device is called the garrote. And again, when I first saw it, it really didn't seem that bad. But then I found out why it's actually been called the harshest execution method of all time. The garrote was used during medieval times and even later all around the world for punishment, execution, and even as a tool for assassinations. The most recent case I found happened less than 50 years ago in Spain. So how does this device work? The victim is held in place by a collar that's made of iron here but can also be made with wires. It's then tightened all the way, the spike piercing through the victim, supposedly crushing their brainstem. But it didn't always work, because the spike would often miss the brainstem, so it would just be buried in the victim's head until they passed, which allegedly could take over 15 minutes. But we're not done, because there's just a few more torture devices I saw in this museum, so follow to hear all their backstories.
Nah, that's crazy. Imagine just chilling there having that shit pierced through your... RIP them victims, man.
Worst ways people have died. My cousin's stupid. He just killed himself again 3 times. Damn. But was it the iPhone 13? That's why she dead, because she didn't get the update. I'm bugged.
That's messed up. He said I'm butthurt. Nah, I'd be butthurt too, no cap.
The biggest artist in the world was behind the demise of this other man.
Drake killed XXX. Now you may have seen there's been this theory going around all over social media the last few weeks, and it is absolutely mental. The theory is that after all these years, Drake is the one that was behind what happened to X. Now, let's have a look. Why do people believe this? Now, a long time ago, X posted this on his story, and I mean, that's sus. Then there are some lyrics from Drake in some of his songs which also are very sus. Have a read of the highlighted part right here. There was also another Drake lyric which said, if you held your tongue, you'd still be alive. Now, it's been clear for a long time that the two never really got along, and in posting this a while ago is extremely weird. Now, what happened to X was tragic, and it was probably just a robbery gone wrong, but there are a lot of people that believe it was actually Drake. Now, a lot of these rappers do have affiliation with gangs and stuff, so it's not impossible that this did happen, but I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, and hit that follow button.
If I'm being honest, it's not Drake. Everyone be like, oh, yeah, Drake killed X. Drake actually addressed those rumors, I'm not gonna lie, like in his newest album. He said this, take more than that to go pop somebody. See what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe Drake killed X. I think it was just a robbery gone wrong.
Stumbled across a creepy hole that was covered up in the middle of the desert in an unknown location. So he decided to uncover it and have a look what's down the dark hole.
Subhanallah.
After enhancing the brightness, we can see what potentially looks like many pairs of glowing eyes.
Humanity's Darkest Pictures, Part 48. The Jonestown Massacre. It occurred on November 18th, 1978, at the People's Temple Agricultural Project in Guyana. Reverend Jim Jones ordered his followers to consume a fruit-flavored drink laced with cyanide while armed guards stood by. Many of the victims, including infants and children, were injected with the poison or forced to drink it at gunpoint. The cult had a history of abuse and control, and Jones was known for his charismatic personality and apocalyptic beliefs.
That's messed up. Imagine you invite your friends out to the rally, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be crazy, we're gonna be on a private island. Let's go. We're gonna be lit. This dude's kind of weird, but at least we're on a private island. You pop up to the private island, you get forced to drink a cyanide-laced apple juice. Get out of here, bro. Hell no.
What would you do if you were staying in an Airbnb, about to take a shower, when you begin to hear voices coming from the wall? That's what happened to this woman. One night after renting an Airbnb, she began to shower when she heard something coming from the ceiling. Shortly after, she began to investigate. After finding a hidden air duct, she could clearly hear two voices speaking in what appears to be Latin. Shortly after this, the voices stopped. But that's not the scariest part about this story. This picture was allegedly taken while she slept.
Alright, yeah, nah, that was crazy. That was actually insane. What would you do if you just walk into your house and you just hear people talking in your walls? Like, that's scary, man. This is terrifying. What happened to that guy? Like, why could his head do that and he could just be upright like that? He looked like he got beheaded, but I don't think he got beheaded. Maybe it might have been a camera glitch.
So the very popular movie 3 Billboards that's out right now is the story of Kathy Page. Kathy Page was found in a ditch in the front seat of her car about 100 yards from her house, right? But she was found deceased. When the officers went and looked at it, they thought it was a little bit suspicious because none of the sodas had spilled. She seemed to have a broken nose, but there was no blood in the car. And she had a blade of grass on her back that they thought meant that she was actually dragged and then put in the car. So they went to her house, knocked on the door, talked to her husband, Steve. They asked him if he knew where she was. The officer said that he looked in the direction of where her car was and answered, I don't know. That night she was supposed to meet up with a guy. Her father ended up actually buying these billboards and putting up all these things about the case so that like he just wanted this solved. Like they knew it was him. And the family actually had video recording of him going to Kathy's grave and kicking flowers off of it. And her dad said that those billboards will stay up until justice is served or he dies.
Wow. That's crazy. I wonder what made that dude think he was gonna get away with that. Like, if you really think about it, the forensic science that we have right now, these motherfuckers will know anything. They'll be like, oh yeah, he actually touched this building last before he died. So who was he there with? Come on, man, you gotta be thinking smart now, dude.
Horror movies that'll scare the shit out of you. Part 28. Insidious, The Red Door. This film is extremely scary with tons of very tense scenes with very scary jump scares. Do not watch it.
This comment is in reference to this book that I was just reading, Playground. For those not in the know, the movie is basically about these kids that are all experimenting on this playground, but the playground is designed to unalive them. In like Saw trap fashion, unalive them. I can't speak for everyone, but I've been reading and watching horror ever since I was a very young kid. Like my first horror film ever, I was 3 years old, and I started reading adult horror novels as early as the 4th grade. And most of the horror that I consumed book-wise was from a child's perspective. Lots of Stephen King books are written this way, actually, because to me that felt more real. It felt way more relatable than horrors that was with adults. And even now, as an adult, you sympathize with children so much more in horror novels because everybody knows what it's like to be a kid. Everybody remembers what it was like to be that innocent and to have so much ahead of you. So I think the reason why a lot of horror is centered around kids like this is because it's real. It has a lot of heart.
The weirdest things ever sold on the internet, part 1. Firstly, Scarlett Johansson made an appearance on The Tonight Show in 2008 where she blew her nose into a tissue. She then put this used tissue in a bag, signed it, and then listed it on eBay. The auction went viral and the tissue sold for a whopping $5,300. In 2008, 2 sisters from Virginia, Melissa and Emily, discovered a cornflake that was shaped exactly like the state of Illinois. They put the cornflake up on eBay and after an intense bidding process, Monty Kerr, the owner of TriviaMania.com, purchased the cornflake for $1,350. And in 2006, a man from Australia listed the entire country of New Zealand for sale on eBay. The listing started at 1 cent, but after 6,000 views and 22 bids, the price rose to $3,000. However, before the sale went through, eBay intervened and took down the auction.
I mean, that makes sense. Who's gonna buy all of New Zealand? That was probably just a joke, but the one where that woman sold that chip for $1,000, some good stuff. I be seeing some chips that look so weird. I might have to start doing that.
This is Tina Gonzalez. She was a prison guard at the Fresno County Jail in California, but in 2021, she was arrested. It turned out she'd been having relations with many prisoners in the jail. She would sneak in contraband for many of her lovers, and became rather famous in prison for doing what she did. Tina would also warn her lovers of upcoming searches of their cells. Tina was sentenced to 210 days behind bars, and 2 years of probation. This is Vicky White, a prison guard from Alabama. While at work, she fell in love with a murderer and inmate named Casey White. One day, she helped Casey escape. They used a police car to get away, resulting in a massive police chase. Eventually, they crashed their car. Casey White was taken back to prison, but Vicky sadly passed away. This is Nancy Gonzalez. She was a guard at a New York prison. That's where she met Ronell Wilson. Ronell Wilson was behind bars for ending the lives of 2 undercover cops. Eventually, Nancy became pregnant with Ronell's child. Nancy was arrested and sentenced to 1 year behind bars.
That one woman that let out the prisoner and put him in the police car, isn't that a little bit dumb? Because police can just track where the car's going, so it made no sense. I don't know why she just didn't use her own car.
The Divine Order of the Royal Arms of the Great 11, or the Blackburn Cult. May Otis Blackburn declared herself the High Priestess. May described the key elements of the new religion to her followers. She believed the fourth dimension was regulated by the Tree of Life, and this tree would allow everyone to achieve eternal life. But this tree was damaged by Adam and Eve when they took the forbidden fruit, so the cycle of eternity was broken, and she was the only one who could fix it. Once the tree healed, then a divine royal order would form, and this would be the Royal Arms of the Great 11, which would be 11 women, including May, and all of them would become the superhuman rulers of the universe. After the apocalypse, they would all perish, but the Tree of Life would resurrect them from the dead. Then they would be granted huge marble palaces in Hollywood, where they would live, and each of the 11 women would also have 11 husbands each. Wow, it's just shocking to think people could fall for this.
Right? No one's gonna die, the end of the world's coming, but everyone's getting 11 husbands too.
Yeah, in a mansion in Hollywood.
Yeah, right.
Because after the apocalypse, Hollywood will still be there.
Nah, he's not wrong. That is a little bit crazy how people would do that. Like, I'm really sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, bro, 11 husbands? Let's be real. Let's be real, shawty. It's not happening.
My Haunted Hotel is a 400-year-old haunted attraction which earned the title of the UK's most haunted hotel. The building was constructed in 1622 and now opens its doors to guests who are brave enough to spend the night. 16 cameras are scattered throughout the building, and just recently, they managed to catch something chilling. A ghostly apparition quickly darted past the window. This entity appeared to be glowing as it moved from right to left. It's also worth noting that this is a second-story window, so it's not possible for anyone to simply walk by. The owners of the hotel are stumped and can't explain what was caught, leading them to believe that this is proof of the many spirits.
Honestly, if you give me a couple of my friends, a couple of females, you know what I'm saying, and some cameras to film the experience, I'm doing it. I would do that. That'd be 100% worth it. You know how fun that would be?
Mars Rover Opportunity had the saddest last words I have ever heard. She was supposed to survive for just 90 days on the Red Planet, but using her solar panels, she traveled 28 miles across the Martian surface over 14 years. Then one fateful day, as a Martian storm descended on the rover and the skies were choked of all sunlight, the solar-powered Opportunity messaged home, saying, "My battery is low and it's getting dark."
Damn, that's like some human robot death shit. You know how crazy that is? I wouldn't be surprised if Mars was once populated with people like millions upon probably even billions of years ago.
A woman named Jen purchased an old farm property and soon found out that it was extremely haunted. Her new home became a hotspot for paranormal activity, and a dark being began to appear around the property. In the upstairs window, a shadow figure quickly walked by. This dark, ominous figure filled Jen with fear, leaving her frozen in place. Until this day, she has no idea who or what this was. On a TikTok account that no longer exists, a video was posted of what appears to be a haunted doll. One day, while a young girl was recording herself playing with her favorite doll, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Until suddenly, the young girl hears something that caught her attention. Then this happened. As soon as the young girl looked to her left, the doll can be seen turning its head to look at her. The girl immediately noticed this and quickly ran to tell her mom. This slight movement is chilling, as there's no denying that something caused this doll's head to move. Well, after this discovery, they might as well toss that thing in a blender.
Yeah, do what that guy said. Just end it. Just throw it away. What the hell? Imagine that shit looked at me like that, but what the?
Military is indeed aware of UFOs. On August 15th, 1950, Nick Mariana, the general manager of the minor league baseball team Rest Falls Electric, and his secretary Virginia Ronig were conducting a stadium inspection before a game. During their observation, Mariana noticed a bright flash and suddenly witnessed two bright silvery rotating objects flying by. Reacting quickly, Mariana grabbed his 16mm movie camera from his car and captured 16 seconds of footage of the UFOs. This film was publicly shown and received significant acclaim as the first ever recorded footage of UFOs. However, when the military became aware of the film, Mariana was convinced to hand it over for examination. Unfortunately, upon its return, the military dismissed the footage as reflections of a fighter jet, and 35 frames that clearly depicted rotating disc-shaped UFOs were missing. The absence of this crucial footage was corroborated by individuals from the public who had viewed the original film, leading to widespread speculation about potential hidden motives or information being withheld by the military. This incident has raised questions and fueled curiosity about what the military may be concealing regarding UFOs.
The military 100% knows about UFOs. This has been confirmed. This is like well-known news. In my opinion, I'm just trying to figure out like what the aliens/UFOs want.
There's a theory that in Spider-Man No Way Home, Andrew Garfield's character, he stopped a canon event from happening. Remember when Tom Holland and Zendaya were on the Eiffel Tower? Or not the Eiffel Tower, sorry, the Statue of Liberty? Zendaya fell from the Statue of Liberty, ready to die, just like all the other canon events of each Spider-Man when Gwen Stacy falls and dies, right? Just like that's what happened in Into the Spider-Verse 2, where they can't stop a canon event from happening or else it will fuck the whole timeline and deadass just destroy the universe. Andrew Garfield, not being from Tom Holland's universe, saved Zendaya, stopping the canon event, and he probably fucked up the timeline. It makes sense now because Into the Spider-Verse 2 came out. They talk about canon events.
So if that never happened, there would probably not even be another movie type shit.
Or something crazy is gonna happen now. Something crazy is gonna happen now.
Damn, tell me one that actually made sense to me. I was like, yo, that's true. Like every Spider-Man, there's always that one person that's just like, oh, just falling to their death, and the Spider-Man's like, try to save him, but too late.
Have you ever heard of the Filipino urban legend of the Dancing Ballerina? The legend of the Dancing Ballerina is a popular urban legend in the Philippines. According to the story, there is a haunted ballerina figurine that is believed to have a mysterious and supernatural ability to move and dance on its own. The ballerina figurine is exquisitely crafted, with delicate features and a captivating presence. It is said to possess an enchantment or curse that allows it to come to life and perform graceful ballet moves when no one is watching. The legend typically revolves around an old antique shop or a collector's home where the ballerina figurine is displayed. Witnesses claim to have seen the ballerina moving or twirling by itself, sometimes accompanied by haunting music or the sound of ballet slippers on a wooden floor. Some believe that the figurine is inhabited by the spirit of a deceased dancer who yearns to continue her passion for dance even in the afterlife. Others suggest that the figurine is cursed or possessed by a malevolent force. The legend of the Dancing Ballerina serves as a cautionary tale, warning people about the dangers of acquiring cursed or haunted objects. It taps into the fear of the unknown and the supernatural, as well as our fascination with the world of ballet and the beauty of dance.
I used to know a lot of people that used to have those dancing ballerinas back in the day. If you had one of those, put it down in the comments.
There was also a theory that in the Guardians of the Galaxy poster, they would expose who dies.
Oh, shit. Do they actually?
Yeah, so search up Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Look at the color of the words.
It's yellow.
People are saying it's kind of represents like wood and stuff.
Let me see.
Who dies in the first one?
Groot.
Yeah. So look up number 2. Number 2 is blue. Who dies in Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
Yondu.
Yes.
Oh, shit. And it is red.
Yeah, no, it's blue and red.
And a bit of yellow. Because Yondu's eyes, right?
So now but it kind of got disproved, but Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, it's white. It's just white.
There was another one I was looking at. It represented Rocket because it had red and it had like the raccoon whiskers. Yeah, but he kind of did die because remember he got like...
He did die low-key.
Yeah, he did die low-key. So.
Spoiler.
So, fuck.
Shit. Spoiler.
Spoiler.
That's a fuck spoiler. I'm not gonna lie.
We found this abandoned mansion that was last owned by a drug dealer. In 2018, police were called over a domestic dispute. The man then barricaded himself inside, and there was a standoff for over 7 hours. He finally surrendered after police threw smoke bombs inside. He was then charged with aggravated assault, and the home was seized. What we found inside will shock you.
Damn, that looked like a really nice house too. Sadly, it's now given to nature.
This man has been locked in this machine for 70 years. Paul Alexander has spent his entire life locked inside this metal canister, and if he ever leaves, he will die.
Wow.
When Paul was a kid, he was diagnosed with a disease called polio, causing him to be totally paralyzed. And this machine allows him to breathe, so if he left it for 1 second, he would pass away. Amazingly, he still lives life as best as he can, and he has friends who visit him regularly.
Hey man, good job to those friends, you know? They see that their homie was in a bad position, but they still try to visit from time to time. That's pretty good.
Have you ever heard of the Vietnamese urban legend of the ghostly wedding? The legend of the ghostly wedding is a haunting Vietnamese tale that revolves around the wedding ceremony that takes place in the spirit realm. It is a story that combines elements of love, tragedy, and the supernatural. According to the legend, the ghostly wedding is said to occur in the realm of spirits or ghosts. It involves ghostly brides and grooms who are unable to find peace and move on due to unresolved love or unfinished business in their lives. These spirits come together to partake in a wedding ceremony, seeking closure and a chance to be united in eternal matrimony. The ghostly wedding is said to be a sorrowful and ethereal event. The ceremony takes place in a mythical setting, often described as a moonlit grove or an otherworldly landscape. Ghostly music, ethereal decorations, and shimmering lights set the stage for the solemn union. During the wedding, the ghostly brides and grooms exchange vows and profess their eternal love. It is said that their love is so strong that it transcends the boundaries between life and death. The ceremony is both a celebration of their love and a plea for redemption or release from their earthly attachments. Witnessing a ghostly wedding is believed to be a rare occurrence. Those who happen upon the event may experience a mixture of emotions, including awe, sadness, and a sense of ephemeral nature of existence. Some versions of the legend suggest that those who witness the ghostly wedding may be granted a glimpse into the realm of spirits and gain a deeper understanding of love, loss, and the mysteries of the afterlife. The legend of the ghostly wedding serves as a poignant reminder of the power of love and the longing for resolution in the realm of the supernatural. It reflects the belief that the bonds of love can transcend death and that some spirits remain tethered to the earthly realm until they find closure or fulfillment.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen a movie called Interstellar, but I remember they were talking about how love is not bound to the universe. It's actually universal. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Behind me is an x-ray of 34 nails inside of Mr. Chen Liu's skull. He was killed with a nail gun. He was shot in the head and the neck. And as you can see, this x-ray is gruesome. Mr. Liu's body was found severely decomposed by 2 children in 2008. His body was found in Sydney, Australia. Police and medical examiners said that Chen was probably dead for about 12 days before he was found. The unit investigating the murder said they have never seen anything so gruesome with a nail gun before. In fact, many working on this case claim that they've never even seen anyone murdered by a nail gun before. The victim was alone in Australia for 8 years. He had no family. The crazy part of this is no arrests have been made since 2008. All they have is the model of a car, which was a blue Range Rover Sport. That is all the information they have. That was the car that dumped Mr. Liu's body into the river. The victim was only 27 or 28 years old. I've looked for updated articles on anything I could find on this. Most of them I found are from 2009, so his murderers still walk free today. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below.
Man, that's absolutely crazy. This dude had nails in his brain. Do you even understand that?
This woman killed her husband and made him into stew. But that's not even the most shocking part of this case. Catherine Knight was an Australian abattoir worker. Her early years were horrific as her dad was an aggressive alcoholic. Her dad abused her mother and Catherine was also SA'd by multiple family members. She would go on to meet David Kellett, who had a similar personality to her dad. He also had alcohol problems and was violent. However, he had very much met his match with Catherine. On their wedding night, she strangled him over a disagreement. Surprisingly, the pair did actually have a marriage that lasted 10 years and they had 2 children together. However, David had many affairs. This part of the case absolutely stunned me. Shockingly, when Catherine found out about his infidelity, she actually took their 12-month-old daughter and put her on railway tracks. Thankfully, a train never came and the baby survived. Now, Catherine was placed in a psychiatric hospital for a while and did make threats to kill. Although David did briefly take her back when she was discharged, they did eventually break up. In 1986, she met a new David Saunders. He quickly moved in with her and her daughters. However, their relationship quickly became toxic too. Massive trigger warning here for animals. During one particular argument with David, as a warning to him, she slit the throat of his puppy. Shockingly, he stayed with her and they had a daughter together. The final straw for David was when she tried to kill him with a pair of scissors. She then met a new man called John and had a child with him, but she quickly cheated on him with a man called John Price. In her relationship with John Price, she would continue her violent and malicious behaviour. She framed him for stealing things from his company and he got sacked. In 2000, they had a particularly bad argument where she tried to stab him. He took out a restraining order in order to try and protect himself. However, in a horrible foreshadowing for events to come, he actually ended up telling people that if he was found dead, it would be Catherine's fault. On February the 29th, 2000, he came home, shortly followed by Catherine. When John went to bed, Catherine grabbed a butcher's knife and stabbed him 37 times. She dragged his body downstairs and hung him from a meat hook. She then cooked his body parts with potatoes and gravy, but this still wouldn't be the most shocking part of the case. After her meal, she took some pills and passed out. Police arrived at the house when it was reported that John failed to turn up for work. They found an absolutely hideous scene. Now, Catherine claimed to have no memory of what happened. At this point, police discovered containers of the human stew with names on. They realised that Catherine's plan was to feed John to her children. What? For killing John for the first time in Australian history, a woman was given life in prison without parole. Catherine remains in prison to this day and denies all responsibility.
Man, Catherine got some problems, bro. And she denies that she did it, bro. Who else is making her mans into stew? No one is doing that, bro. At most, someone's gonna get it over with, kill him, and move on. No one's making no man into stew. So weird, bro. She deserved that life in prison. Actually, she deserved the death penalty. YouTubers who became criminals. Not me.
Hi everybody, it's Mr. Anime here, and this is just an update video to let you guys know that I'm gonna reward myself with probably a 2 or 3 week break coming up here from YouTube videos and videos. Thanks for watching my channel.
I'm over at the restaurant right now that's connected to our hotel. The door's been wide open, and they said they've seen lights going on and off in here. This is the attic area. Very, very narrow stairs, and I just smashed my head on this freaking pipe. Hello? Oh my.
Still trying to figure out what's even going on.
There's no one here. There's no one here. Nope.
You're just tripping, bro.
Okay, okay, I'm out. Oh, no. I'm out. Okay, just leave me.
Things that bother you, they never
North Sentinel Island. I heard about that story.
Haven't got a lot,
Spider Island.
Coffee's only a dime.
Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time.
YouTubers that accidentally recorded a live Murd3 are Sam and Colby.
They never bother me. I feel happy and fine. Living in the sunlight, loving.
Did you get that? Yeah, I know. Somebody's screaming bloody murder.
No.
Let's get out of here faster. Come on. How was that? Dude, that scares them. Do you hear that?
Bro, I always see those videos of people in the woods with cameras recording, and it's always someone like screaming in the distance. You know how scary that should be? I really wonder if they actually recorded a murder though.
So in 1966, the bodies of these two men were found on a hill in Brazil, but there was like a lot of weird stuff found by them. First of all, they were wearing suits, and second of all, they were found near these lead eye masks that they'd cut themselves. But then they also had this weird note on them that said 4:30, be at the determined place, 6:30, swallow capsules, after effect, protect metals, and await mask signal. What any of this means is still a mystery today, but we do have a few clues as to what was going on. Let's dive into it a little, but if you want the full breakdown, I did cover it on the podcast this week. So we did eventually find out that these two men were in a secret society that thought they could contact aliens. But that sounds crazy, right? There was no way they were contacting aliens up on that hill. Well, the night they passed away, multiple people in the community were complaining of seeing bright lights from an unidentified flying object in the sky. One woman specifically told police she thought it was a spaceship. Police closed the case without any answers, but to this day, a lot of people think that they actually had communicated with aliens that night. Check out the full deep dive to decide for yourself.
That man was probably aliens, bro. Either that or they're the men in black. The aliens were, oh, we got him finally. Once I saw it, I ran. Hell no. I saw it on my couch, bro. I'm burning the whole house down.
Who is he talking to?
Yo, he's bugging.
Dispatch to 329. Yes, sir. Who are you talking to?
That's trippy, bro.
Did you say Miss Abigail?
Yes, ma'am. She says she wants to see Mr. Griffin, and I told her that the campus is closed, that she should come tomorrow morning, that she might see Mr. Griffin.
Are you sure you're saying Miss Abigail? Like, she's been passed on for 2 years now. Miss Abigail is she died 2 years ago.
Miss Abigail came back.
No, there's nobody in front of you at all.
Nah, that one was kind of weird and a little bit trippy, but I'm trying to figure out, like, why was she recording it? Like, sure, it's a weird activity going on, like him just talking to no one, but like, was she recording it to like tell the department, you know, maybe expose him, or was it the skit? Like what was that?
Ya no puede estar aquí. Mira, no manches. No manches, güey.
I'd leave too.
A la madre. Es un hombre. No, quién sabe, güey, que sea. Ve. Mira. Dios mío. Ahí está, güey. Aguanta. Ahí está. Fíjate. Acércate, compa. Abre la puerta. ¿Qué no tiene? Espérame. ¡Hala! Mira. ¿Viste? Ay. ¿Pero cómo vamos a entrar? Aguanta. Sí, vamos a entrar. Espérame, no, compa. Aguanta. Puede ser algo malo. No, hay que irnos mejor, güey. No, hay que irnos, güey. No, hay que irnos, güey. No, güero, vámonos, güey, mejor. Pues no se va a poder abrir. Aguanta, sí, güey. ¿O no tiene manija? No podemos abrir, güey. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder.
Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas también como nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en la tentación y líbranos de todo el mal. Amén. Está tocando. Sí, abrió la boca, compa.
Yo, that's scary, bro. He said, adios míos.
Hey.
Yo, look at this man's camera. They're all cammed up.
Hecho candado, güey. Déjanos entrar. Demonio, déjanos entrar. La sangre de Cristo tiene poder.
Nah, they started saying a prayer towards the end. That's how you know they were shook. They're like, blah, blah, blah. It sounded like they were saying a ritual, but you could tell it was a prayer because they're like, Amen. But nah, that's crazy, bro. Oh my God. What? Yo, I thought it was someone screaming. It's the dog barking. Oh, you're bugging for opening the door like that. If she does it again, I swear to God. What? I will say though, the first time she opened the door, I was like, yo, she's tripping. If I heard someone knock on my door, I'm gonna look, be like, through the window, see who's there. If there's no one there, I'm like, oh, it sucks. She opened the door. Hello? Who's there? That's how you get set up, bro.
Ya le hablé a la policía. Y ahorita va a venir. Tráeme un palo rápido. Tráeme algo. Tráeme algo. Va a venir ahorita la policía. Corre. ¿A qué estás molestando aquí? Ya te habías ido. ¿Qué quieres? ¿A quién quieres? ¿A quién quieres? ¿A Regina o a quién quieres?
¿Cómo que a mí?
¿A quién quieres? Vete de aquí. Vete de aquí. Se paró. ¿Quién chingados eres? ¿Quién te mandó?
Is seeing believing? Question mark, question mark, question mark?
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What's going on? Yeah, I'll get out of there too, bro.
Creepy facts
you didn't know about.
You didn't know about. Parrots often bond with the keeper. From their perspective, as a lifelong romantic partner. If the person dies or the parrot is displaced, they can go into massive depression and pluck out their own feathers. That a dolphin committed suicide after falling in love with its handler that used to jerk the dolphin off.
Nah, that last one was crazy. What? Yo, he said to, yo, how do you even do that?
Real photos of Earth that will make you feel small. Earth from the moon, also known as Earthrise. Earth from the Cassini spacecraft. Earth taken from the Curiosity rover on Mars.
Damn.
Earth from Voyager 1.
Just a small comment. How do they know that's specifically Earth though? Like from the Mars one and from the one next to Saturn? Like how do they know that's specifically Earth? Could have been anything and it could be like, how do they know it's Earth?
Oh no. No, 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 no. This place doesn't make sense.
Like, you can't tell in the video though.
It looks so slanted. Yo, why is she?
You look like you're leaning. Oh my god. There you go.
Yo, that looks so weird.
It just doesn't look weird.
She goes, it doesn't look weird. That's hilarious.
I don't know what the angle is to like show what's really going on. Oh gosh! Dang! It's weird. Okay, that looks weird. Okay.
She looked like Michael Jackson.
Now try the stairs. Oh, we'll wait for them. Oh, it shows you. Oh no. Okay.
In the video, you can't really tell, but you can tell like the way how they're standing, how weird that looks. I wonder where that's at. Loki might go visit there. Looks quite interesting. If you know, put it down in the comments.
I have received some real ghost stories about the Pasadena Cheesecake Factory location. There is apparently a little girl who haunts the basement area. Legend has it, back in the day, this property used to be a bank, and the bank teller's daughter accidentally locked herself in the bank vault. By the time they found her in there, it was too late. Now, I don't know how much truth there is to that story. That's just what I saw in a lot of your comments, and also what I noticed when looking up more information about this location online. I got a few messages from former employees, but I'm going to just talk about one because it's a very lengthy story. Okay, here's the message. So yeah, it's super haunted by this girl spirit. She's known to mostly spend a lot of time in the boiler room. I used to be a busser, and it was sometimes rough opening because we'd have to get napkins and utensils, all sorts of stuff. And we knew going alone was a gamble on whether or not we were going to be screwed with by this spirit that lies in the dungeon. Many stories of people seeing her, prep cooks coming out and crying because they saw her. I also watched footage on the security cameras in the safe room where 2 managers were in there and stacks of papers from the cubbies violently flew out and scared them. Honestly, I wish there was substantial footage to provide, but I never got access. As for me personally, you'd have an idea she was around because there was a remarkable chilling when alone in certain parts. She would easily knock stuff over and a lot of random bangs, knocks, and noises were heard. I've seen her only as a misty sort of orb or as a mist that incorporated into a small person on a few occasions. Some repairmen and technicians have walked out of the repair job because the girl's spirit was scaring them. As for the tunnels and brick foundation I mentioned, there are short archways and collapsed elevator shafts. I wish I had more pictorial evidence, but it's remarkable how much is still there and intact behind locked doors and rooms. Wow, so it sounds really spooky down there. Have you heard of this legend behind this little girl? Are there any other haunted locations in Pasadena that you want me to check out? Let me know in the comments.
Me personally, I've never heard about that legend, but that was kind of an interesting story that she was telling. And cheesecakes are A1. They taste so good, but they're so terrible for you, but it's one of those things you gotta eat once in a while. But anyways, if you like the video, please like the video. Remember that these are both free for a limited time only, so check the link out down below.
बाबा जी मैंने सुना है कि हनुमान चालीसा बोलनी चाहिए इनों के सामने की
What the hell is in this dude's hand?
कोशिश करें एक बार बोलो हनुमान जान गुण नेक पत्रकार सुमति नारे सुमति कंचन राजेश्वरेशा कान कमल कुचित केशा हाथ प्रद धौजा विराजे कंध मुझे जनों साजे भागे ले केड़ी लगाई चुप रहो चुप रहो
Yo, these niggas brave, bro. Nah, those were some brave dudes. You hear it go, oh, and they're just like, yeah, yo.
All right, let's talk about the Goat Man. This is a very famous urban legend from Maryland. Now, this is apparently what the Goat Man looks like. He's got the head and feet of a goat and the body of a man. And he's often seen holding an axe. This is an image from a supposed real-life sighting. I don't know. Now, one story says that the Goat Man was once a scientist that was experimenting on goats. And, well, he ended up getting mutated into one. Whereas other people believe that the Goat Man was a farmer that went crazy and started killing people. No matter what the origin story is, the Goat Man is really creepy. And there's a bunch of people that have claimed that they have encountered this Goat Man. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments below.
Have y'all ever encountered the Goat Man? I don't think I ever encountered the Goat Man. Except for me, because I'm the goat.
This is the dark, sick truth behind the brand Balenciaga. Let's start with their disgusting ad campaign. And no, I'm not worried about the devil drawing on the top right. What I am worried about is the caution tape on the bottom left that misspells Balenciaga B-A-A-L. If we search up B-A-A-L, we get King Baal, who in the Bible, if you sacrificed your firstborn child to him, you would get riches in return, as stated in Jeremiah 19:5. Kim Kardashian wore the tape as an outfit. It was spelled correctly, but it looks like she's no stranger to the word ball.
She goes Balenciaga. Ball. Balenciaga. I'm a baller.
This is Lada Volkova, who is the chief stylist of Balenciaga, and it looks like she's into some really sick things.
Bro, we been knew the Kardashians were weird, bro. You didn't even have to say that, but like, artist for Balenciaga, yeah, she looks like she is kind of like a devilish type person. I'm not gonna lie.
Did this woman capture a rake on camera? Some people also believe this to be a skinwalker. What do you think?
Oh, nah. Is that a child? What is that? What?
Poppy, you were just stood there at the bottom of the stairs, weren't you? Yeah? And you were looking up the stairs into the dark, and when you looked up there, yeah, you waved to somebody like that, and you blew a kiss to them, didn't you? Yeah?
Yeah.
So, can you come here a minute? Can you tell Mummy who you were waving to?
No.
Why?
Because I don't know who it is.
Okay, well, what did they look like?
No, I was nothing.
Why won't you tell Mummy who it was?
I don't know.
Please tell me.
But it's nobody.
But you did wave to somebody, didn't you?
I'm going to see who it is upstairs.
No, don't go up. Just tell Mummy who it was.
But I just want to go and see who upstairs.
Was it a boy? Was it a girl?
Was it a baby?
Was it a man like Daddy? Was it a big woman like Mummy? Was it an old woman like Nanny? An older man like Grandy? Sorry, Tim.
A girl.
It was a girl.
Yeah.
And what did they look like?
It looks like me. It just looks like me.
Was she young?
Yeah.
Is she your friend?
No.
She's not your friend, though.
No.
Is she not very nice?
No.
Is she mean?
Yeah.
Does she say mean things to you?
Yeah.
Where have you seen her before?
Nowhere.
So you've only seen her at the top of the stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you wave at her and blow her a kiss, does she wave back and blow kisses back?
No.
No.
What does she do when you blow kiss?
She just bites me.
Hey, yo.
Are you sure that's not apple?
No.
No.
Yo, they were interrogating the hell out of that poor little girl. She was probably there like, what's going on? Why they keep asking me these questions? I couldn't tell you, bro, because I'm thinking about it like, you know, they come up with imaginary friends and stuff like that. I know people say that children can see ghosts. The kid was probably just like, you know, just being a kid. I don't know. Maybe she did see something. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Did this man predict the Titanic tragedy 14 years before it happened? The novel, The Wreck of the Titan, written by Morgan Robertson in 1898, describes the sinking of an unsinkable ship that hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic, bearing eerie similarities to the actual sinking of the Titanic 14 years later. Firstly, both vessels shared almost identical names, the Titan and the Titanic. Secondly, both ships had a shortage of lifeboats, making it impossible to save everyone on board. In the wreck of the Titan, there were only 24 lifeboats for 3,000 people, while the Titanic had 20 lifeboats for 2,226 people. Thirdly, both ships hit an iceberg on the starboard side, causing a fatal gash that led to their sinking. Finally, both ships sank in the North Atlantic about 400 nautical miles from Newfoundland. Coincidence or something more? And more importantly,
that definitely was not a coincidence. Bro knew what he was doing. There's no way. Like, the similarities are too similar. That dude is a time traveler, or he just a psychic.
Most terrifying videos you'll ever seen. This video is from 2020 and it was recorded in Bogota, Colombia. In the video, a man starts to hear strange sounds at the airport called El Dorado. He decides to investigate, and this is what happens next is downright chilling.
¿Dónde estás? Se prenden las luces. ¿Estás jugando con la llave? ¿Ah? ¿Estás jugando con la llave? ¿Ah? Necesito otra prueba. Necesito otra prueba. Ay, marica.
Alright, so let me explain this video because you guys are dying to know, even though I saw some comments and people guessed it right. And no, this is not green screen, believe it or not. This is the top of an underground brick kiln. Places like Pakistan or India have a lot of these. Or it could be an underground oven as well, but a brick kiln is more likely. So no, it's not the depths of hell, but I saw this comment and it's really scary. Apparently, sometimes those kiln owners throw slaves into them to burn alive, which is really sad. Anyways, the mystery behind this has been solved.
What I'm low-key trying to figure out is, how do you make that? And if you make that, like, is it only a specific part underground? Because I was looking at it like, how is that guy just standing over it like he wouldn't fall in it?
There's so many surprising facts about Cleopatra that are just not common knowledge. Like the fact that she was actually born closer to the invention of the iPhone than to the actual pyramids being built. And I just want to share a few more of them with you today because some of them are very dark. And a reminder, if you like the dark and spooky, you'll love the podcast. So first and foremost, Cleopatra was severely inbred. Most people have 8 great-grandparents, but Cleopatra only has 2. Like, look at this. So this is our girl, Cleopatra VII. So her parents had the same grandparents, and her grandpa was her grandma's uncle. She was so inbred that some historians believe that myths of her beauty were actually just propaganda, and depictions of her at the time show her with features that are much more exaggerated than what we see. She also married her little brother and had him killed.
Ew.
And she also liked to have fun. Her and Mark Antony used to just run around getting drunk in disguises so that no one knew who they were. The Egyptians at the time also had many different forms of birth control that they would use, and this one was maybe a bit before her time, but they would mix crocodile dung with honey and insert it via suppository.
I remember seeing that video, like, in one of my past videos. It did say that King Tut was inbred and he looked hideous. So if Cleopatra was made from incest, she definitely looked ugly as hell. Either she just had a seizure or she got possessed. I don't know which one, but whatever it is, hopefully she's okay.
Have you guys ever heard about the legend of the Fresno Nightcrawler? This legend started one night in 2007 at midnight when this man named Jose was woken up by his dog barking like crazy. When he went to look at his surveillance footage of what happened, he came across this white-legged, no-torso creature walking by his house. It also moved in a really strange way. Jose called the police after he saw it, but they couldn't do anything, and it went viral after that. People have seen the Fresno Nightcrawler in the Central Valley and as far north as Yosemite Park. Some say that this creature is a spiritual being that protects the earth from harm. This creature apparently stands 1.5 meters tall, so really short. This footage that he got has not been debunked yet. Some people think that this video was fake and that this creature was a puppet, but a lot of people think that this creature is real. There are sightings of the Nightcrawler all the time, primarily in the forest or on empty highways. I actually have a Fresno Nightcrawler plushie and I love him. He's handmade and from this awesome company called 16% Nation. You can actually get a discount on him from watching this video. If you use my code SPOOKY10, you will get 10% off your plushie and free shipping. Do you believe that this legend is real? Have you ever seen the Fresno Nightcrawler? Let me know in the comments.
I personally have never seen a Nightcrawler in my life. I mean, I know about crawlers from like Call of Duty, you know, like the zombies. If you've seen one, put it down in the comments. I don't even know if people ever even.
Wait for it.
Whoop! Dolls are haunted, damn. That's why I don't mess around with dolls. You never even know what these things can possess, bro. What? Watch till the end.
He always pushes it through when I'm sitting on the sofa. So annoying.
Why are you moving closer and closer towards me and almost in my lap, Beba?
Why pulling your coat?
She's ready to run. Don't you trust over there anymore, Beba?
No, Morgan, thanks.
Why you moved out in the first place?
One of the reasons, yeah. Oh, God.
I used to poke in the oven.
That's scary. Yo, she's laughing because she's nervous.
I'm so hungry together.
Yeah, get together. Yeah. It's always.
I mean, I don't know if they have like a attic or something above them. I mean, the stairs probably lead upstairs to something. So maybe someone was just running upstairs. They're the only 3 people in the house though. I'll get that checked out.
Oh no. No, 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 no.
What? So he got hot water. How are you about to do with that? What? Man, that confused me so crazy. First, like, I thought someone was dying. The whole time through the hot water, it stopped. It's a little bit strange.
Daddy, I have a new friend.
That's not your friend, buddy. I don't know who's gonna tell that kid, but that's not his friend. Things I've seen making this YouTube series make me type scared to just go out in the forest and do anything sometimes. I'm like, yo.
Anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state.
Part 15.
Iowa. Carol Edward Cole. Although Carol Edward Cole's crimes were not committed in Iowa, he grew up in the state that seemingly shaped his life into a serial killer. While in Iowa, he lived with his mother, who would often beat him. There, he grew to hate his mother and women as a whole. Between 1948 and 1980, Cole strangled and killed 13 women across multiple states because, he said, it felt like he was killing his mother, according to the Sioux City Journal. He was found guilty and sentenced to death. He refused to appeal because, quote, it would be unbearable to stay here any longer. He was executed in 1985.
Nah, that's crazy. That actually reminded me of the new Suicide Squad that I watched a couple days ago on Amazon Prime. Shout out Amazon Prime. There was this guy that shoot like colorful balls out, and he was like, yeah, it's really easy for me to hurt people because it reminds me of my mother. I don't know why, but that reminded me of him.
Disturbing moments caught at gas stations. This video seems to start like any other late-night convenience store. This woman may have been freaking out before, but she was uncomfortable being filmed by the man with his camera.
Trying to question me. Never wait outside for your dumb ass.
She gets up in his face, asking if he's gotten enough.
Do you have enough? Do you have enough?
She tosses the phone out of his hand, claiming she could sue him. He's quick to pick it up, but she doesn't stop. She continues yelling at him from across the store, calling him names and saying they couldn't do anything to her.
I don't give a you done as ass. They gonna lock you up for lying.
She clearly believes herself untouchable because she doesn't rush out, taking her time to continue insulting the man, who, to note, doesn't react to any of her baiting behavior before finally exiting.
Respects to that dude. He saw that she was bugging out and tweaking. He didn't do much more than just recorded it. He didn't say anything. He didn't put his hands on. Respect to that dude.
A team of firefighters show up to a fully engulfed house, but thankfully the family is already outside and safe, or so they thought. After realizing they weren't going to be able to save the house, they decided to help stop the spread of the fire by dousing the surrounding areas with water. When they made entry, they looked around to see if there was anything they could save for the family since the house was a total loss. As they went into one of the rooms, they noticed a crib with something inside of it. Heartbroken, they see an infant that is not able to be saved. Suddenly, a feeling of rage and anger comes over one of the firemen. As they begin to get ready to leave the house, he sees something in the corner of the room. There was something staring back at him with nothing but a cheek-to-cheek smile and no eyes. He immediately rushed out of the house and begins to have a panic attack. Later that month, he turned in his badge and equipment and told his chief that he wasn't able to handle the stress of the job anymore and would be leaving. The man was so shook up after this incident because he personally knew the family and they did not have an infant child.
What to you looks wrong with this picture? Before we get into this picture, I'm just going to preface that the woman who took this, Eliza Sherman, she was not harmed, but this was possibly the riskiest photo that she may have ever taken. After repeatedly hearing her doorbell rung, she assumed that it was probably a prank, like kids or something who were in her apartment building. While this woman was texting her husband and describing what was happening, she sent this picture of what she thought was an empty hallway, saying that every time she opens the door, there's no one there. Except she was wrong. In the dark at the end of that hallway was not a kid playing a prank. It was a man who had been ringing her bell. It's actually her husband who caught this, and he ends up calling it out. They call police, and they take the photo and they digitally enhance it. But even with a clearer visual, whoever this was, they do not know. He could have been someone who lived in the apartment building. He could have been someone who broke into the apartment building.
I'm being honest, that looked like Michael Myers without his mask. You can't tell me it doesn't. Like, look at this resemblance. Like, tell me it doesn't.
Do you know that taking a selfie could end up saving your life? Jen and a couple of her friends were getting ready to head out for the night. The women did their makeup at her apartment, got ready, and before they left, snapped a couple photos of themselves. The women went out and had a great night, and midway through, Jen decided to look through some of those selfies they took. She was swiping through the photos when she noticed something strange. In the background of all of them, you could see inside of her closet, and it looked like something was in there. So she zoomed in and saw this. Jen immediately dialed 911. Police arrived to find and arrest the man that was hiding in her closet, awaiting her return later that night. Police told her that she's lucky she took those photos. So before you head out next time, take some
pictures.
Seriously, take the selfie.
Legend or lie, Sensabaugh Tunnel.
In Kingsport, Tennessee, there's a tunnel with a dark history. Legend has it the tunnel was named after the man who owned the land named Edward Sensabaugh. One day a hobo came to Kingsport, Tennessee looking for work, and the kindly Edward let him into his home. However, later that night, he caught the hobo stealing his wife's jewelry and confronted him with a hunting rifle. The hobo picked up Edward's youngest child, his infant daughter, and used her as a shield as he fled the house and escaped. The hobo then drowned his daughter in the same tunnel that was named after Edward and was never seen again. Edward never was able to recover from the loss of his daughter, and he began a slow descent into madness. One day, Edward completely lost his mind, and he killed his entire family, thinking that by doing so, he could reunite them with his lost child. He took their bodies to the tunnel and then took his own life. He thought by doing this, he would make his family whole again. Nowadays, Sensabaugh Tunnel is a hotspot for paranormal investigators and curious travelers. People who visit the tunnel say they can hear the cries of the infant and the screams of the Sensabaugh family echoing inside. And then there's the rumor that if you go into the tunnel and park your car and turn it off, it won't come back on, and the ghost of Edward will come for you. Do you believe the story of the haunted Sensabaugh Tunnel, or do you think it's all a lie?
Man, I will say that the part where he picked up that dude's kid, bro, that's sad. Like, why would you do that? Just to get some gems, bro?
This is what would happen if the world lost oxygen for
1 hour.
Up first, with the oxygen gone, you would struggle to catch your breath, and your heart would start beating in overdrive, and you could expect excruciating chest pains. Next, the combustion process in vehicles wouldn't be possible with no oxygen. So any way of transportation that wasn't electric would automatically fail. This also means that planes would fall from the sky, and millions of cars would be left abandoned. Oxygen acts as a special binding agent, so any building made of concrete would collapse instantly, causing cities to be destroyed and millions of deaths happening. Our ozone layer is also made of oxygen atoms that bonded to create the ozone, so Earth's protection against UV rays would completely disappear. Earth would then get extremely hot, and on top of that, Earth's crust would crumble until there is nothing left.
So he's pretty much saying that we're just gonna die. That's pretty much what he's. But one thing I will say though, planes wouldn't immediately fall out the sky. They would probably just glide out of the sky, you know what I'm saying? Because planes, they can glide without their engines.
We need to talk about this photo. This was the last photo Charlie Noonan ever took. Charlie traveled all across America during the 20th century collecting stories about the paranormal. His wife Ellie told reporters that Charlie once met a farmer in Oklahoma, and this farmer told Charlie a story about a strange old woman who lived alone in an isolated property nearby. But even though she looked like an old woman, she wasn't a woman at all. According to the farmer, people believe that she was something different entirely, something inhuman, hiding her true form behind a headscarf that was never taken off, and she always had a large dog near her. After hearing the story, Charlie became very intrigued by the old woman and wanted to know what her secret was, so he took off to Oklahoma to try to find answers. Later, Charlie's wife Ellie was notified of Charlie's disappearance, but eventually she got a hold of Charlie's camera. She developed the film inside the camera, hoping to find clues behind his mysterious disappearance. And this was the only photo in the camera. Follow for more stories.
To anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state.
Part 14, Indiana.
Herbert Baumeister. Herbert Baumeister led a double life. He lived on a farm in Indiana with his wife of 25 years and had 3 children. What his wife didn't know was that Herb also cruised gay bars at night, picking up young men. Eventually, police started showing up at the Baumeister home, asking questions about missing boys. They later found 11 bodies, a mere 15 feet away from the house. As the cops circled in on him, he panicked and died by suicide without ever facing trial.
I will say this though, at least that guy wasn't like a Ted Bundy, because I knew Ted Bundy, he was so weird. This man Ted Bundy would just kidnap little female girls and just like, nah, that's weird, bro.
Horrifying things caught while camping. This man in blue walks on screen and crouches down behind the logs before taking off into the tree line. As he walks back, he takes a lot of breaks before using a stick to aid him in walking. It's unclear who this person is, how old they are, or what exactly happened. It seems, at one point, that he's an older man, as he struggles to walk, similar to how an older person might.
What the
However, that doesn't last for long. When he rolls down the hill, he manages to not only get up after wrapping himself up, but he does so without using his arms at all.
Every time he went into that crouching position, I always thought he was a gnome. I was like, yo, what is this gnome man doing? That was a weird video.
You know why this photo is one of the most disturbing photos to ever exist in the world?
No, it's just a bunch of guys smiling.
So this picture was taken of a group of survivors that survived like this crash of a Uruguayan plane. And what if I told you that they're smiling for a very disturbing reason?
Okay, whatever it is, they look really happy.
They were stranded for 72 days. And keep in mind, they had no food. So they had to resort to cannibalism, which is eating humans.
What?
Yeah, and that is why they're smiling, because they just ate a human. And you can see in the photo, like on the ground, there's like a human spine on the ground.
Wait, that's a spine?
Yeah, and eventually 16 of them got rescued. But what's so crazy is that there was a hotel 18 miles away from where they were. But since they decided to stay in one spot and had no desire to go towards the town, they were forced to have to eat humans because they had no food.
So you're telling me they could have walked 18 miles to get food, but they decided to just sit there and eat human.
But you also got to think about how far 18 miles in the cold. Like, sure, they could have walked, but which direction 18 miles are they walking? Backwards, forwards, side? In my opinion, if they knew about the town and then did that, they're bugging. I don't think they knew about that.
These are scary cartoon truths that'll terrify you, part 20. Okay, so Rick's Morty is not his original Morty. According to this theory, he abandoned his original Morty, as seen in the title song sequence of the pilot episode, where Rick and Morty are both running from giant frog monsters, and Rick then jumps through a portal, leaving Morty to fight off the frog creatures himself. Fans theorize that this Morty actually fought off the frog creatures and went on to become evil Morty. This is actually insane, so let me know what you think about this.
I low-key would not doubt that theory. I feel like that actually might be true. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.
To anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state. Part 13.
No shit.
Illinois. John Wayne Gacy, aka the serial killer clown. Dubbed the serial killer clown, Gacy killed 33 boys and young men in the 70s. Since he worked as a clown performer for children's parties, he would often kill his victims while wearing the clown costume that he called Pogo the Clown. Gacy would sexually assault the boys, strangle them with rope, and then bury their bodies under his house. He was found guilty on all 33 counts of murder and was put to death in 1994.
Yeah, nah, John Wayne Gacy was one of the weirdest MFs of the world, bro. I'm not gonna lie. The things that he did, yeah, he should have been, like, got murdered for that.
Something terrifying is happening to Maria. One day out of nowhere, she became very sick.
She kind of looks like her.
But it isn't any illness we've heard of before. It's something much worse. This story is called A Doll's Hellish Burial by Junji Ito, and the ending is crazy. The story begins with Maria's father looking out of the window in their house, thinking my worst fear has come to life. And it seems like he's referring to some kind of disease that's infecting people. And now it's gotten to his daughter. Then Maria asks her father what's the matter. And as he turns around, he sees Maria staring at him blankly. Her jaw hung open lifelessly, and her joints along her arms and legs are splitting. Her parents then remember something they heard on the news. There was a study by an organization saying this disease is called early onset Doll's disease, and it's spreading rapidly across the population. Maria's mother then hugs her, realizing that her daughter can now only stare back at her, unable to move, as her skin has solidified to a porcelain-like surface. But soon the situation got so much worse, because the disease kept spreading. All over the world, parents decided to let their sick sons and daughters rest peacefully, if you know what I mean. Though Maria's parents were sure that they would never abandon her no matter what happened. But soon they would change their mind, because one day they went to visit Maria again, and what they saw shocked them. At this point, Maria had turned entirely into a doll, but still the disease would not let go. The most terrifying part is even as a doll, she kept changing, until Maria's parents decided they could never let anyone see their daughter like this.
Oh, no.
Follow for more stories.
Man, whole time I'm watching that video, I'm like, is this a real story? Or is it fake? Then I was like, nah, it's probably fake. What the fuck is that? What?
O sea, tú no se alcanza a ver con el ojo. Estás hablando de 9 kilómetros de distancia.
Estoy intentando nada.
Mira, ven, lo que tu ojo no ve, el monocular te lo enseña.
¿Misery qué?
En lo que en la Misery Hill, creo. Sí, casi está en la cima. Casi está ahí en la punta.
I've been looking at videos like that. I'm like, bro, if I'm being honest, I don't know what that was. Could be a human. Like, we might be thinking it's giants, but is it really giants? What do you think? Put it down in the comments.
You're working late night shift when this happens.
Okay, you can do this. Just ignore the statues. They're not demons. It's fine. You got this. You got this. Oh, God. Oh, God. You're not gonna come alive, right? Right? You're all just standing and chilling, right? Right? It's fine. This is fine. Just a few demons, it's fine. Oh, cool, they reflect in that. That's cool, that's cool. This is fine. I'm fine. It's fine.
What do you think? Over the weekend, I did see that. I know it says like October 7th, but then it's been like a week later. But I was watching, I was like, bro, that's gotta be a guy in a suit. Like, someone was probably just out there just messing around, and they're like, oh my God, it's Bigfoot. I don't really believe in Bigfoot. Maybe he is real, but I don't really think so. I really think that was just some random in a suit. If it's not, and I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. Let me know your opinion, because I am actually interested in that story.
You should be careful if you decide to have a chimp as your pet. On February 16, 2009, Travis the chimp severely attacked his owner's friend, Charla Nash. Thankfully, she survived, but she did need a full face transplant because this chimp even took her eyes. Now, I'm going to play the 911 call for you guys, but it's extremely disturbing, so here's your warning.
This is Sandy. 231 Rock Crimin Road.
What's the problem?
Send the police.
What's the problem there?
The chimp killed my friend.
What's the problem with your friend?
Oh, please.
What's the problem with your friend? I need to know.
Send the police up with a gun. Hurry
Who
up.
has a gun?
Please, hurry up.
Just send the cops.
What is the problem?
He's killing my friend.
Who's killing your friend?
My chimpanzee.
Oh, your chimpanzee is killing your friend.
He ripped her apart. Hurry up.
With a gun.
Hurry up, please.
There's someone on the way.
With guns, please. Shoot him.
What is the monkey doing? Tell me what the monkey...
He ripped her face off.
He ripped her face off?
He's trying to attack me. Please,
Okay,
hurry.
I need you to calm down a little bit. They're on the way. Can you put your...
Yo, that 911 operator was getting me so mad. It's like, bro, she's literally getting her face ripped off. He's like, calm down. Tell me what's happening. I'm like, how is she gonna calm down? She's getting her face ripped off.
There have always been conspiracies about the government, but most of the time people are like, no, the government would never do that. So let's talk about a conspiracy that actually turned out to be true. And this video is gonna be talking about the heart attack gun. Now, a heart attack gun sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it was actually invented. Basically, the reason this gun was created was so the CIA could assassinate people but make it look natural. Now, how this works is actually insane. Basically, it fired a dart which was made of frozen water and shellfish toxin. The only way a victim would know they had been hit is if they noticed the red mark on them, which was similar to a mosquito bite. This toxin would spread within a matter of minutes. And it would cause your body to naturally go into a heart attack, so if there was any investigation, it wasn't suspicious. They tested this gun on prisoners and animals without consent. So basically, the CIA was searching for ways to kill people and making it look as natural as possible. After this went to court, they said they wouldn't use the gun, but can we really trust the government?
All right, with that information we just heard, you gotta really think about it. Why would they want to kill people without other people knowing? Let's be real. Why would they want to silently kill someone without no trace?
On October 15, 2022, these two young men survived one of the worst bear attacks I've ever heard of.
Damn.
On the left is Brady Lowry, and on the right is his friend Kendall Cummings. Both of the men were in their early 20s, and they were actually both wrestlers on the same team. The two guys were heading up to Shoshone National Park along with two additional friends. All 4 of them were heading on a day of shed hunting, which is essentially when you look for old antlers on the ground. The group of friends had initially split up. Brady and Kendall went on their own while the other 2 went in a different direction. Brady was looking on the ground when he discovered a very big pile of fresh bear poop. That's when he yelled over to Kendall, making a joke about what he had just discovered, when suddenly they heard a very large noise in the back. Out of nowhere came a full-grown female grizzly bear attacking Brady head-on. Immediately, she attacked his head and facial area and then started throwing him around like a rag doll. And almost right away, Brady recalls hearing his arm snap in multiple places, realizing that he barely stood a chance against this bear. Obviously, Kendall heard Brady's screams and turns around, and to his horror, he sees the bear literally completely dominating his friend. He tries screaming at the bear, throwing branches and even rocks that were a direct hit, but it did literally nothing to the bear. And that's when Kendall's wrestling instincts kicked in, and he decided to run full force at the bear and jump on it from behind. He was able to essentially wrestle the bear, hold on to it, and was able to pull its head from the back. This was enough to get the bear's attention away from Brady, but unfortunately the bear then hyper-focused on Kendall. Brady was able to roll himself over, but when he looked over at Kendall, he saw that the bear was now going towards him. But Kendall was still very confused, and all he knew is that he was drenched in blood. Kendall then starts running away from the bear with a few seconds of a head start, but it was no use. The bear was way too fast. The bear had gotten a hold of Kendall and essentially was doing the same thing that it had done to Brady. By some miracle, Brady was able to gather the strength and climb up a hill in order to call 911. At the same time, he was also able to wave down his friends, who spotted him because he was wearing a bright red shirt. His friends rush over to him, and they were not able to make out exactly what he was saying until he muttered the word bear. His friends were also completely mortified because Brady had no idea the extent of his injuries. A few minutes later, Kendall re-emerges to the hill, and he is also covered in blood. There's pictures of this online if you have the stomach for it. But essentially, a part of his face had been ripped off and he had puncture wounds all over his body. The 2 friends were immediately taken to the hospital in Billings, Montana. And even though they both had extensive injuries like broken bones and deep lacerations, they would go on to make a full recovery.
But all I gotta say is good job to those friends, man. Because I'm looking at it like one of the other friend could have saw that and just ran away. But instead, he chose to fight with his homie. You know, that's W friends. That's W friends.
This is how angels really look like. This is how demons look like. This is how biblically correct angels look like. They look like this to scare off demons.
Let's talk about the dark secret behind the lore of the backrooms in the horror game Backrooms 1998. Disturbing subject matter ahead. The backrooms in this horror game are different than other interpretations, and I'll explain why. You play as a skater who fell into the backrooms one day after recording some skating footage, but throughout the playthrough you find out the real reason why he's in the backrooms. Well, the truth centers around this little boy named Timmy. Items and clothing pieces of Timmy's are found all over the backrooms, so what's the connection? The main character that you're playing as tortured and murdered little Timmy. Your character didn't fall into the backrooms skating. They died that day they were skating, and the backrooms is their own personal hell. That's why this monster that chases you all throughout the backrooms is wearing Timmy's clothes and makes the sound of a crying child. And now that character...
One Money Hunter is one of those internet accounts who uses metal detectors to find gold and other types of relics. And in one of his recent videos, he found something chilling inside of a bottle. And this is the video. Check this out. 1, 2, 3. He fetches the bottle from outside of the tree root. He cleans it up, and apparently he finds some sort of humanoid creature trapped within the bottle. Check this out.
What? In my head the whole time, I'm like, please tell me this dude ain't take that home. Turns out he took it home. But at least he didn't open the lid though. If he did, I would've bugged out. I'd be like, nah, this dude's tripping.
The Abigail Project. This is a story of a human experiment gone extremely wrong. Disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. The story goes like back in the day during World War II, the US military wanted to make their soldiers stronger. And they wanted to do this by creating a substance in a lab to give to their soldiers to make them stronger. Rumor has it that the scientist that was concocting all of this was named Albert Weston, and he wanted to test the product out on his daughter, Abigail Weston. The testing was taking place at Area 51, and soon enough they began injecting Abigail with all types of concoctions. Concoction was supposed to give her superhuman strength, but instead it did something that nobody saw coming. First, Abigail's fingernails began growing into sharp, long claws. Then her teeth began getting sharper and longer. After this, Abigail began growing, and she was growing very tall.
What I'm really trying to figure out though is like, why your own daughter? He could have used a rat, a mouse, but instead he chose his own living, breathing flesh.
These girls decided to follow the Serbian dancing lady, and what happens is shocking.
Jeste dobro?
I heard that if she looks at you, the only way to not get killed by her is to start dancing with her. If you want to learn more about the Serbian dancing lady, I am posting a video on Friday all about her and answering the question, who is she and is she real?
Trust me, if I run away, she is not catching me at all.
If you're thinking about ignoring your gut instinct, don't. Here are 3 reasons why you should trust it. Reddit user Mystery Science Kitten said that she took her 2 kids to an in-home daycare run by a lovely woman. About 9 days in, the woman's teenage son was home when she went to pick up her kids. He gave her a super creepy vibe. She pulled her kids from the daycare and placed them somewhere else. About 10 years later, that kid shot 2 people and then shot his mom. TikTok user Sunny Shinair said that they once had a bad gut feeling about walking in the parking lot for work in the morning, so they called in sick that day and someone was robbed and killed. Reddit user Bearded Alien 013 said that a few years ago he was at a bar with a couple of friends. All was good and they were drinking and having fun. All of a sudden, they heard this discussion taking place a couple of tables away from them. 2 guys decided to have a shouting match. Bearded Alien 013 said that he stopped everything to pay attention to them. One of the guys in the discussion got up and left. Immediately after he left, Bearded Alien 013 told his friends that they had to go right away. They didn't get why he was being so weird, but they had been friends forever, so they reluctantly agreed. They went to a different bar in a different neighborhood, but he couldn't take his mind off of those 2 guys. The next day, he turned on the news and he couldn't believe his eyes. There was a report about a bar fight. Apparently, the guy who got up and went home grabbed a gun and returned for a drive-by.
I'm like, bro, if someone's arguing at a party and they're getting too violent and they're getting personal, I'm leaving. I'm not getting drove by or shot up for nobody, bro. Hell no.
Teletubbies originated from something darker. We all know the famous kids TV series The Teletubbies, but what if its origins isn't as innocent as it may seem? Well, you see, there is a theory that the show was inspired by historic events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility dubbed La La Land, which experimented on psychotic children, isolating them in dark rooms where they tragically lost their lives. It was said that the Teletubby Lala was based on a child who had a facial disfigurement, making her smile all the time. Tinky Winky was based on a deaf child who was allegedly tied to a fence outside and suffered frostbite. Dipsy was based on a malnourished child that was constantly sick and ended up lying in its own puke for days. And Poe allegedly was based on one that fell into a fire, hence the color. But it doesn't stop there. The reason for the TVs and the Teletubbies' bellies were due to the fact that these 4 children ingested the smaller television sets for safekeeping when they heard that La La Land was about to remove their televisions as a part of the experiment. So did you know that?
I actually did know about that Teletubbies one. That is kind of a creepy story, right? Like, as a child, you remember watching it, nice little show. Then now that you're older, it's like, oh yeah, well, this is actually the reason behind the whole show. And you're just like, why?
Have you ever heard the Courage the Cowardly Dog true story? There's a place in New Mexico called the Middle of Nowhere. According to tradition, an old couple who lived alone and had a dog saw many bizarre and odd occurrences. They claimed to have seen a bizarre skinwalker-like monster one night. The family had disappeared under mysterious circumstances after this was reported to the police. But their dog was abandoned. From this tale, the character of Courage the Cowardly Dog was based. Now what do you think? Subscribe and follow for more.
Yeah, the Courage one was also kind of strange, but it wasn't as bad as the Teletubbies one. What's your thought about Courage? Put it down in the comments.
This is why you stay away from cursed places. Frank from Franco TV visited an abandoned dam located in Guild, Tennessee. The place is said to be haunted by the victims who lost their lives in the historic hazards of the waters. As Frank attempts to communicate with the dead, he begins to hear screams echoing in the dam. Searching for the source of the sound, he makes his way down to the lowest floor. At the bottom, he finds a piano where someone seems to be humming nearby. And as he goes further in, he meets face to face with whatever was following him. Frank doesn't notice, but what looks like a pair of glowing eyes can be seen, watching him. Then, a muffled voice is heard when he goes through the curtains. After communicating with the entity, it was made clear it didn't want to continue anymore.
Can you give me a sign if you want me to come up?
No.
That was funny. Can you give me a sign if you want me to come up? No. I'm dead.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. In ancient Rome, soldiers used to drink fresh warm blood to cure epilepsy. There are antidepressants that eliminate someone's ability to feel love and compassion. The Exorcist movie resulted in many of its cast dying, including 2 actors whose characters died in the movie. In 2017, an asteroid named AG-13 passed by our home planet with less than the distance of the moon. Scientists saw it coming only 2 days before it could have hit Earth. One of the most haunted dolls is Robert. It belonged to a child named Eugene in 1904. The 2 most dangerous books are called Shams al-Ma'arif and Al-Ghazali. They carry rituals for summoning demons. In ancient England, people used tops of hollowed human skulls to drink and eat.
Man, them people need help. Using a human skull to eat and drink? You're bugging. Maybe I'm bugging. I don't think I would. Would you do that? If you would use human skull to eat and drink, please put your reasons down in the comments.
This theory about what happened to Amelia Earhart is very disturbing. Behind me is a photo of Amelia Earhart, a very, very well-known female aviator and the first female to cross the Atlantic Ocean in a plane. On July 2nd, 1937, Amelia Earhart and her navigator, Frederick Noonan, went missing while attempting to fly all the way around the world. They went missing while in a region that contains some of the Pacific Islands. And that's where this theory gets disturbing. It's theorized that Frederick Noonan died in the crash, but Amelia Earhart ended up washing up on one of these islands. These islands are populated with these giant coconut crabs, which earn their name from the fact that they can pop open coconuts with ease. What some theorists believe is that Amelia Earhart was able to survive on the island for a few weeks, but once she perished, the coconut crabs, which are also omnivorous, came out.
Damn, so you were saying that those coconut crabs came out and eat her body after she perished? Oh no. Those crabs are huge, man. I don't know if you guys know, but coconut shells are also super hard. Like, if you try to crack it open with your hand, you're gonna break your hand, I promise you. So those crabs should be some really strong crabs. That's so terrifying.
1 Minute Horrors episode 99. Woman murdered after mistaking wrong car for Uber ride. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. During midnight of March 29, 2019, Samantha Josephson, a 21-year-old University of South Carolina college student, went out with friends to a bar at the 5 Points Entertainment District in the city of Columbia, South Carolina. By 2 a.m., she left the bar and is seen on surveillance footage quickly getting to a black Chevrolet Impala while on the phone with her boyfriend, thinking it was her Uber ride. This would be the last time Samantha would be seen alive. By the afternoon of the next day, she had missed her morning work shift, and either her boyfriend or friends could not get in touch with her, so they reported her missing. An investigation was prompted, and her family from New Jersey went down to Columbia to join the search. Unfortunately, just 2 days later, on March 31st, Samantha's dead body would be discovered in a wooded area in Clarendon County, South Carolina, about 65 miles from Columbia. She had been stabbed roughly 120 times to her face, neck, shoulder, torso, back, lungs, legs, and feet. Police checking the surveillance footage from the bar noticed that the same black Chevrolet Impala Samantha got into was lurking the area beforehand, eventually noticing her alone.
Additionally, it was also discovered that her Uber ride was actually canceled by the original driver. 26 hours after the discovery of the body, authorities on the lookout found a black Chevrolet Impala, which turned out to be the car of 24-year-old Nathaniel Rowland. Rowland had a lengthy criminal record, including traffic violations, having an open container of alcohol, and with a more serious offense, allegedly abducting a previous girl through carjacking and then burglarizing her home. Inside the vehicle, police found a container of liquid bleach, germicidal wipes, and window cleaners. The car also contained Samantha's cell phone, and a large amount of blood was also discovered on the back seat. Samantha's DNA was also collected from Nathaniel's fingernails. Nathaniel was indicted on charges of murder, kidnapping, and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. He was found guilty of all charges and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
That's good for him. Good that he got that life in prison. That's good. He needed that. Like, I really wonder what prompted people's brains to do stuff like that, because it's like, the girl was chilling. She's an innocent girl. Like, what was he trying to do? Like, let's be real. Bro was on his Ted Bundy time, and like, that's weird, man.
This will make you mad. 8 LA County sheriffs stood next to Kobe Bryant and his dog.
It gets worse. According to the sketches of Gianni's autopsy report, there was no brain matter found in her skull. As a result of dragging in the gruesome crash, her spine went through her skull and brutally damaged the entire body to the point it was completely unrecognizable. And these motherfuckers took pictures next to her body. Are you kidding me? And these are first responders. Can you imagine if this was your kid?
No, don't do that.
Also lost her foot and shin, and her lower abdomen was completely ripped apart. The girl was decapitated.
Don't do that, bro.
Took pictures with her dead body next to them. And I hope the court awards the Bryant family of so much punitive damages that them motherfuckers' kids is gonna still be paying for that damn lawsuit, because that's some fucked up shit.
Nah, man, as a first responder, you can't do that. You're taking pictures next to and they're like mutilate a crash. Your whole body's entangled, like your body's all over the place. That's messed up, man.
Rodney Alcala, the dating game killer. It's a dream for a good majority of people to end up on a game show. And that dream would come to reality for a young woman named Cheryl Bradshaw when she would make it onto the dating game. But darkness would be awaiting poor Cheryl. One of the contestants on the dating game was a man named Rodney Alcala. But unbeknownst to anybody, while Rodney was on this show, he had already killed 4 people, but nobody knew. Rodney actually would end up winning the game show as well. And since he won, the dating game would pay for an all expenses included first date for Rodney Alcala and Cheryl. But while backstage, Rodney would say something that would set off Cheryl's intuition. He would tell Cheryl, "I'm gonna take you on a date you'll never forget." But it was the way he said it, his mannerisms and the inflection of his voice that caused Cheryl to have second guesses about this. So she decided to call off the date. Rodney would go on to kill several other people about this. And if you want a full breakdown of the case, I made a full video about it over here on the Red app. And it was because of Cheryl.
I did remember hearing about that dude. That dude is weird.
What actually happened on Easter Island? In one of the most remote locations on Earth, there is a place called Easter Island. On this island, there are over 800 Moai statues that sit over 40 feet tall. Now, even though it's speculated that the civilization living on the island built these statues, the greater mystery is, how were they transported? In recent times, it was unearthed that these statues had full torsos and bodies, making it nearly impossible, even in this day and age, to be transported. Many speculate that the statues could have been built by a species way more advanced than us, or that they were actually giants petrified by a cataclysmic event. Even though you can watch the full video by clicking on the link in the description below.
Did Hitler escape? Everyone knows the story about how Adolf Hitler took his life after the war. But what if that didn't happen? During the war, Hitler was known to use body doubles. And after the war ended, a mysterious U-boat convoy was spotted landing on the shores of Argentina. The people who emerged from the convoy formed a secret German city called La Cumbrecita, where people of Nazi descent live. Declassified FBI documents also showed that an enormous amount of money was spent looking for Hitler for years after he supposedly died, with no conclusive evidence that the German dictator and his wife were ever caught. Even the cremated remains of Hitler's body that were recovered were later found to belong to a 40-year-old.
Yeah, you know, that's really funny. Like, I heard a lot of things about Hitler. I do believe that that person that killed probably wasn't Hitler. If they spent like millions of dollars looking for him after the war, that definitely wasn't Hitler. It's probably like some random, honestly. Probably used like an actual double for that one.
Russian soldiers before and after war. Pay close attention to the photo. Creepy games you should never play. Charlie Charlie. The game is banned in some Eastern European countries. How to play. Place the crossing pencils on top of a sheet of paper containing the words yes and no. Before asking any questions, it is important to ask the permission of Charlie by asking Charlie, "Are you here?" Or "Charlie, can we play?" The top pencil should move by itself with the tip pointing to his answer. If he answers, you can now ask any question that requires a yes or no answer. To end the game, you must ask Charlie permission to end the game. The game was dismissed by scientists as a hoax, but there are a few people who consider it to be a real paranormal game.
Fun fact, I almost played that game once. I didn't play it because I was like, nah, I'm too terrified. But like, if I'm being honest, nothing happened. I saw some people do it. Nothing happened. Definitely a host.
Did you know that this Bible prophecy is actually happening right in front of your eyes? And the strange thing is, no one's talking about it. In the book of Revelation, in the Bible, it talks about the great river Euphrates in the Middle East. It says that in the last days before God destroys the earth, this great river will dry up. This is the current state of that river. It is literally drying up. But that's not all. The Bible also says that God chained up 4 fallen angels and actually imprisoned them right under the great Euphrates River. And according to the Bible timeline, those 4 fallen angels will be released to kill a third of mankind when the river is completely dry. And the Euphrates River is almost dried up. Like this video and subscribe right now to...
Don't talk about the skinwalkers. I have a story. It isn't mine, but it happened to my uncle. He used to tell this story when we went camping, and it scared the lights out of me every time I heard it. We live in Utah, and my uncle Mark went on a mission at 19. They sent him to an Indian reservation in Arizona. They paired him up with a companion named Carl. When they first got there was a huge rift with the locals on the reservation with them being there. They didn't want my uncle and Carl staying on the reservation grounds. Eventually, they came to a compromise that they would stay on the outskirts in a trailer. This reservation wasn't very big and was located next to a heavily wooded area. The first night they were trying to sleep when all of a sudden their trailer started to shake violently back and forth. Startled and not sure what was happening, they climbed under their table for cover. Damn. Mark could distinctively hear someone pushing it from both sides of the trailer, like a group of people. After about 5 minutes, it stopped. That next day they made rounds on the reservation and were talking to the locals. Carl made a comment to one of the families that their trailer was shaking that night before. The family got very quiet and then told them they had to leave. They thought it was strange, but didn't think much of it. The next night it happened again. They awoke to their trailer shaking back and forth. Again they climbed under the table until it stopped. This went on for 2 more nights. Anytime they tried to talk to anyone about it, they got quiet and told them to leave. Mark started thinking that, due to the tension of their arrival, the locals were doing this to scare them off the reservation. They then go into a convenience store, and they were talking together about how frustrated they were with the situation. The clerk overheard and said, "They can't talk about it. It's forbidden." Confused, they ask him, "Can't talk about what?" The guy continues to tell them about the skinwalkers. He says they are evil demons that were once Native American witches. If they talk about it, the skinwalkers will come for their souls. They just walked out of there baffled. They thought it was another scare tactic. So that night, when the shaking started again, my uncle decided to be brave and confront them. He went to the trailer door, flew it open, and yelled, "Hey!" When he did that, he saw these 3 animals run off. 2 were a wolf, 1 was a bear. But they looked strange, almost with human features. As he watched them run towards the trees, all three stood up on two legs and walked slowly towards the trees, making a human cackling laugh. It scared him so bad that they called their mission president that next morning and asked to be moved. They were relocated that day. For a year, nothing happened. One day they announced that Carl was being relocated to another city and Mark was getting a new companion, Jimmy. They had to drive for about an hour to pick Jimmy up from the airport. The road they traveled went through the boundaries of the reservation. They arrived at about 8 p.m. and met Jimmy, and they go to leave. The mission president tells Jimmy, "We are driving through a dangerous area at night, so we can't make any stops. If you need to use the restroom, you need to go now." Jimmy says, "I am fine." The mission president gets serious enough to even freak out Mark. "I am not kidding, go do your business." Jimmy was insistent he was fine. So they hit the road. As they were about 30 minutes into the drive, they were going through the area of the reservation boundaries. Jimmy starts complaining that he needed to pee badly. The mission president says, "We can't stop here. You'll have to hold it." Jimmy keeps going on, "I really can't hold it." So the mission president stops the car and says, "Okay, but you will do your business next to the door, and if I say get into the car, you better get into the car fast." With a look of confusion, Jimmy says, "All right," opens the door and starts to do his business. About 5 seconds later, the mission president says nothing and just yanks Jimmy into the car and floors it. Jimmy and Mark start freaking out. "What is going on?" The mission president says nothing and just increases his speed. All of a sudden, Mark sees something next to the car to his right. A giant wolf-looking man was running on 2 feet next to the car. Mark looked at the speedometer. They were going over 60 miles an hour and still increasing. The wolf creature kept right next to the car for 10 minutes until it finally took off into the trees. Shaking, Jimmy gets out of the car when they arrive. They didn't speak through the whole ordeal.
Imagine you're driving 60 miles per hour and there's some wolf, human-looking creature keeping up with you. I'd be like, yo, hell no. I'd be terrified. I'd probably never go back to that camping site.
There. To go here.
Nah.
Ух ты ж, блядь, ёб твою мать. Ползи сюда, нахуй. Блядь, я такого не видел. Охуеть. Во, it's beautiful. What's so new?
No, it's not beautiful.
Вот этого мы нашли только что. И вот там. Я думаю, эти вот эти молодые были, которые. Они заныкали все. Закрыли. Ой, блядь. Какая куча костей, ебать вашу мать. Сука, я туда не попал. Видно, не видно, я не знаю. Ладно, блядь. Пиздец. Ебать, по костям шляться, нахуй. Не полезу.
The literal mountains of human bones. And he's asking, would you go here? No. Bro, you can see him walking. He's like, this is beautiful. Bro, how do the bones, like, how are they on top of each other like that? That look like hundreds of people have died in that building, bro. That's insane, man. This is the footage of an actual demonic... Oh, no, that's weird. Tell me why I thought that first video was the whole video. That would have been cool. I was like, why are they climbing up like that?
This was the moment Tupac Shakur's alleged killer was arrested. The Las Vegas Police Department released footage of former gang member Dwayne Keith D. Davis being handcuffed last month. Nevada grand jury has indicted Dwayne on a murder charge with the use of a deadly weapon. Tupac died in 1996 and his murder has been a long unsolved crime that became a defining moment in the history of rap music. Dwayne was charged with 1 count of murder with a deadly weapon for his alleged role in leading a group of men to kill the rapper in a drive-by shooting. Authorities haven't said who actually fired the gun, but the 3 others who were in the car with Dwayne have all died since. But could this mean the rapper could finally receive justice after nearly a 3-decade-long mystery?
Yeah, man, I heard about that Tupac case. I actually heard that his autopsy picture came out. Like someone took a picture of him there, which is messed up. I saw it. It was very graphic. If you want to see, you can look it up and you'll see what I saw. But I'm not going to show it in this video because I don't want to get age restricted and taken down and demonetized. So we're not showing it. But if you do want to see, you can look up Tupac autopsy. About time they found this man's killer, I was like, why was it so difficult for them to find this shit? Like, but from what I know though, Keffe D didn't pull the trigger. Apparently his cousin, I think cousin, brother, or whatever, he's some relative that he had, I think nephew, pull the trigger. Like Orlando, he's the one that hanged out, pulled the trigger, but he was also in the car with him, so you know he's obviously a suspect in that. But RIP Tupac, RIP Kobe, RIP the legends that passed away. Just remember that these chains and these sunglasses are free for limited time only, so check the link down in the description.
Story of a human experiment gone extremely wrong. Disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. The story goes like back in the day during World War II, the US military wanted to make their soldiers stronger. And they wanted to do this by creating a substance in a lab to give to their soldiers to make them stronger. Rumor has it that the scientist that was concocting all of this was named Albert Weston, and he wanted to test the product out on his daughter, Abigail Weston. The testing was taking place at Area 51, and soon enough they began injecting Abigail with all types of concoctions. The concoction was supposed to give her superhuman strength, but instead it did something that nobody saw coming. First, Abigail's fingernails began growing into sharp, long claws. Then her teeth began getting sharper and longer. After this, Abigail began growing, and she was growing very tall. Abigail grew to almost 9 feet tall. Part 2 is on my page. The Abigail Project Part 2. It's rumored that Abigail grew to between 10 and 14 feet tall. Obviously, the US government realized that the concoction they had given Abigail did not have an outcome like they had been hoping for. It was supposed to make her stronger, but instead it turned her into a monster. The government had decided to keep Abigail locked in a cell at Area 51. At this point, Abigail looked nothing like her old self. She now looked like this. And everything took a turn for the worst when one of the guards went to go check on Abigail. She ended up mauling and eating him. After this incident, they decided to try to starve Abigail so that she wouldn't be alive anymore. Only Abigail was overpowered by her hunger. Turns out the concoction they had given her at Area 51 had turned her immortal. And even though the US government tried everything they could to get rid of Abigail, it's said that she's now kept in a secluded wing at Area 51. And if you get close to the Area 51 premises, you can hear Abigail's cries in the distance, trotting around her secluded wing, crying out to be fed.
Why test it on your own daughter though? That never ever will make sense to me. It's like you could test it on rats, on some mouse. Bro tested it on his own daughter. That was a little bit stupid.
Zombie sheep.
It actually reminded me of the ant death circle. I don't know if you guys ever knew about that. When ants are lost, they always pick where the group is going and they'll follow them, and some of them just go in a circle. They might do it for like hours or even days. But if you know anything about this phenomenon, put your comments down below.
This story tells about a nurse who was so excited when she accepted a new job caring for a child. But when she arrived, the house looked empty. Even the front door was unlocked. After calling for the house owner, the nurse was surprised by a body shadow floating to the house's second floor. Out of curiosity, the nurse went straight to a room on the second floor. She was so relieved when she saw a boy who was fast asleep. It was this child she would take care of from that day forward. But the nurse was surprised to find the child shivering in pain. And what's more terrifying, many small eyeballs come out of the boy's eyes. The incident made the nurse so scared that she fell. But she was even more shocked when she met the boy's mother already hovering behind her with the same horrible face. The nurse did not think the night would end full of terror from mother and child. The next day, the nurse woke up from her stupor. But she was still shocked by the discovery of the bodies of the mother and child lying in bed with terrible confidences. It turned out that both of them had died long ago and were even rotting in bed. A newspaper reported if the mother was willing to accompany the child who died of cancer.
Man, that's a crazy story, dude. The things that mom would do for their kid, it's crazy.
Have you heard about La Mano Peluda, or the hairy hand, that haunts Puebla, Mexico? In 1908, a man named Senor Villa, also known as Horta, along with his wife La Gangosa, operated a notorious pawn shop, which served as the epicenter for his malicious activities. Horta was not a man who would be easily forgotten in Puebla, due to his harsh nature. Despite being short and robust with noticeable hairiness, his cold-heartedness stood out the most. He particularly enjoyed seeing those in despair who came to his pawn shop for help. As a result of his cruel behavior, locals often whisper a prayer when near his shop. May God dry out your hand. After Horta's demise, the townspeople's prayers seemingly took a horrifying form. A menacing black hairy hand with rings rose from Horta's grave, causing great alarm within the community. This terrifying entity targeted individuals, scooping their eyes and disappearing back to Horta's grave.
When this thing was speaking to you, what language was it? Your language?
That's the thing, I don't know. I swear, I never, like, now when I remember it, it's English. That time I don't know English. But sometime when I remember, it's in something else. But I just understood. I don't know the language. I can't tell you specifically because I don't want to lie.
It was consciously speaking to you. They are mentioned in the Quran. Waswas al-Khannas. That's what they do. Yuwaswas. He whispers, sends you signals as messages. Do this, do that, do this, do that. It says it in Surah An-Nas, a verse in the Quran. Waswas al-Khannas. That's literally their purpose. That's why there's Iblis and the followers of Iblis, is because their purpose is to make the waswas to people to do bad things. That's the purpose of Lucifer. Like, so in the day of judgment, Lucifer is gonna come out and say, I never forced you guys to do bad things. I just told you and you listened.
Oh, that's deep.
Because people that did bad things are gonna go to him. Look at what you did to us. Now we're gonna go to hell. We're about to go to hell right now. I didn't force you. I told you and you listened. Remember when you went, you did that thing in the bedroom, and then the story of breaking the living room? That was a harsh waswas, I would say, but that was a waswas. That's not possession. But the thing that came out of the closet and grabbed your foot.
Bro, it was crazy.
Nah, that's deep. He said the devil said, I didn't make you do it. I only told you to do it and you listened. That's deep.
They literally have a portal in their basement, and supposedly there was 200 demons in their basement, bro.
So this was the portal to hell.
This was low-key. There was a mom and she had like 3 kids, right? They were normal. They were good kids, right? Until one day they started changing. They started acting violent, and the mom was like, what the hell is going on, right? And it was crazy because someone took a picture outside their house and they said it was like a 12-foot demon, they said, staring at them through the window. Holy so look, do you see this? That's a real picture. That's a real picture of their house, right? In the beginning of the haunting, the mom and the kids were blessed. It was until they were all in the living room together, she noticed when she looked at one of her kids, the eyes started rolling back and she started going like she was like moaning. And mom's like, oh, are you good? And while she was taking care of this one kid, her other kid,
I mean, that kind of explains the sudden change in behavior for the kids, but hopefully they're good, because a demon portal in a basement, never good.
The White Lady is one of the most terrifying horror stories in the Philippines. She is often depicted as a ghostly woman in a long white dress with dark hair covering her face. Legends say she haunts dark roads, abandoned buildings, and secluded places. According to the tale, the White Lady is the spirit of a woman who died tragically or suffered a great injustice. Some versions suggest she was a victim of a heinous crime or a jilted lover seeking revenge. Encounters with the White Lady are accompanied by eerie phenomena like flickering lights, cold spots, and a sense of unease. Witnesses describe feeling a chilling presence, hearing hair, raising screams, or even experiencing physical contact. These ghost stories of the White Lady have been passed down through generations, continuing to captivate those fascinated by the supernatural. Regardless of their origins, they have left an indelible mark on Philippine folklore, sending shivers down the spines of those who hear them.
This is the most haunted playground in America. It's located in the middle of Maple Hill Cemetery, which is the biggest cemetery in all of Alabama. It's like over 100 acres. It's been said that when people go there, especially at night, that they'll see ghosts of children walking around, or that they'll see the swings swinging by themselves, or hear little kids talking or arguing or laughing. And there's this urban legend that's based on this area that this playground in the cemetery, it actually used to be a quarry, and that back in the 60s, that there was a serial killer. He was targeting kids around that area and then disposing of their bodies around the quarry. And it was said that he even was hiding out in some of the abandoned mine shafts. And it's been said by people that visit that sometimes they think they even see the ghost of a man up on the ledge above the playground staring at the children. And there's actually a real world story that really ties into all this about this group of teenagers that went there. And this guy said that he saw this ghost of a little girl in a very nice elaborate dress come up to him and be like, "I know who you are." He was weirded out by that, and he didn't think anything of it, but he went back home, and the next morning he told his mom about it, and he described this girl in vivid detail, and it said that his mom burst into tears, walked into another room, brought out a picture, and that it was the same girl from last night. He had actually had a sister that had passed before he was born, and that was that same girl who said, "I know who you are."
Man, if that's a true story, then that's actually crazy. What?
This is the Hello Kitty murder. This is Fan Min Yi, and on March 17th, 1999, she was abducted by 3 men. And during her imprisonment, she was tortured and she was beaten with metal bars and sometimes even strung up and used as a punching bag. The men even rubbed spices onto her wounds and burned the bottom of her feet with candle wax and hot plastic so she couldn't walk. She was forced to eat human feces and urine and was subjected to horrible torture. On April 15th, 1999, Fan succumbed to her wounds. Her captors weren't home, but when they got back, they dismembered her body and boiled her remains. They then sewed her skull inside this Hello Kitty doll, giving the case the name the Hello Kitty murder. She was only 23 years old, and during those months of capture, she literally went through hell. This might be one of the most disturbing cases ever.
Nah, that was sick, bro. Sometimes I be thinking, like, what really motivates people to do something like that? Nah, I hope them motherfuckers find hell, bro. I hope they, like, die in prison, bro, or something.
Take a look at this photo. There is a seriously creepy mystery behind this picture. Captured on a home video camera they had packed in their car in 1999, this footage was captured in Hornet, Missouri. What Jeremiah and Caroline captured in this footage may be the only clue we have as to what happened to the beige sedan. For context, back in 1991 in this area, a beige sedan pulled up to a local diner where an unknown woman walked out and into the restaurant. She was described as deranged and erratic, and she was bleeding. So of course people tried to help her when the unthinkable happened. The woman grabbed a nearby infant and bolted for her car and drove off. Everybody who could hopped in their car and tried to chase this woman down with the infant as she drove into the back road. But then she just seemed to disappear. They never found where that sedan went. Police investigated, they searched all of the woods, they never found her. That is until this footage surfaced in '99, which may be the only clue that the beige sedan is still hiding out in the Devil's Promenade.
Nah, stealing someone's baby is crazy. Like, could you imagine?
Legend or lie number 26, 8 feet tall. A child visiting family in Japan heard something strange coming from the hedges outside where she was playing. It sounded like a man saying, "Po, po, po." She scanned the hedges and stifled a gasp when she spotted an 8-foot tall woman dressed in white with a wide-rimmed hat hiding in the bushes. Horrified, she told her grandparents about the encounter, and they both became inconsolable. They knew it was Hachisuku-sama coming to take her away. They urgently informed her about Hachisuku-sama, an evil spirit who snatches children's souls. They took the child into a room and poured a circle of salt around her. They said, "Do not open the door for any reason," and that they would retrieve her in the morning. Late that night, the sound of her grandfather was at the door, saying that if she was scared, he would wait with her. She breathed a sigh of relief and reached for the knob, but quickly realized something was wrong. Her hand flinched back when she realized it wasn't her grandpa, and the words "Po, po, po" came through. Part 2 is up now.
How do we explain this footage. This really may not seem like much of anything at face value, but the picture is actually a lot more chilling than you might think. It was captured by Eunice Lopez in 2014 near Macon, Georgia. So she would always pass this abandoned home on some of the back roads that she would walk on her way back home from babysitting. It's just a lot safer, there were less cars, it was quiet, it was just fine, but she would always encounter this abandoned home. People in this town knew for a fact that nobody had lived in this house for at least 19 years, so who was this? Maybe this could have been a squatter, this could have been somebody who had just taken up residence in the home illegally. But what's not explained is how an abandoned home of almost 20 years suddenly had a power source to illuminate an entire room and this unknown silhouette of a person just watching out the window.
Yeah, that's a little strange. That's why I say to myself, bro, abandoned buildings and hospitals, those are always weird to me because sometimes they always have power. Like, why is there just power on? There's no one in this building. At least that's what I think.
These are actors that were never the same after a role, part 2. Up first is Sarah Paulson, and she got addicted to smoking cigarettes after filming American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson. She was never a chain smoker in real life, but when it came to playing the role as famous attorney Marcia Clark, Paulson went all in. She began chain smoking on set and even said herself she became addicted to cigarettes. Next up, Shelley Duvall was damaged from the filming of The Shining. The scene where she was swinging the bat on the staircase at her husband almost ruined her, and there was lasting effects from it. This scene felt so real to Shelley that she was genuinely upset from it and wasn't acting in this scene at all. And what makes this worse is that she was a perfectionist and they filmed this scene hundreds of times. This affected her brain traumatically and took her years to recover from.
That's messed up with the last one, but sometimes that's just a part of the job. Like, as an actor, I feel like you know what you sign up for, so if anything happens, I guess you just gotta know what you're in for. Just remember that this sunglasses and there's free chains down in the description. Please check those out. Happy Halloween, everyone. Please be safe. Don't get chased by clowns or get hit off the road or anything. Just be safe. This was how my weekend went, my Halloween weekend. Let me know your costumes down in the comments. And if you like content like this, please like and subscribe. Happy Halloween for the 100th time. Please like this video. Please sub. Peace out.